Hello. It was. I was actually still expecting you to go with like the Christmas stuff, or at least like, holiday winter type stuff. I mean, I feel like that's how like the rule about techno music. It just if it doesn't get a little strange, it didn't really happen. Mm-hmm. So how are you? I feel like I haven't seen you in a hot minute. Druid says your sound is gone.
Ah, that's why. I see why. It's good now?
Yeah, it's weird when people say they can hear me and not you.
No, I knew. I knew. I hear till okay. Hey Janet. You should be hearing me now, hopefully. I know what I did. As always, I didn't turn my mic on. Um,
There you are.
yes. Sorry guys. So
So
hi
you were
Druid, hi Janet. I run out of heard me say that.
And you were just saying that you and your husband don't know what date is.
Yeah, yeah. With Christmas being on a Wednesday, like when was the last time that happened? I guess 7 or 8 years ago. I mean, that's how the calendar works, right?
Yep.
Hey, Robin. Um, yeah. So yeah, we've been very confused. He yesterday, I think it was actually late yesterday. He goes, "Is today Friday?" Because he took the whole week off work. So
Yeah, I think the last time Christmas was on a Wednesday, I was still working in retail, and I remember being upset because we only get that one day off,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and usually have to be back at work at the butt crack of dawn the next day to deal with after Christmas stuff. So I was
Mm-hmm.
not missing that this year.
Yay! I remember when I left retail, even though I left retail for a company where end of the year was also kind of critical, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same nonsense as retail. It was like a different kind of nonsense. So it's November 58th. Dark Days of Soft Pants. Yes! I love it. That's perfect, Jared. Um, so anyway, yes, I do remember that feeling of jubilation the first holiday season I had out of retail where I was like, I don't care about Black Friday. I'm not like clawing my face off in anxiety. So yeah, it's a good feeling.
That's
And
true. Although,
I'm sorry to any of our retail worker friends out there. I feel your pain. I worship your tenacity.
yes, however, I, I mean, only speaking for myself, I feel that I have earned the right to complain as much as I want because I spent 20 years in retail.
Yep.
I have fulfilled a lifetime
Hmm.
career of you know, not that I don't think it shouldn't improve for other people. Hi, Chan.
Oh, your
And
daughter's
just in
20th
case,
anniversary. Well, congratulations to her.
wow. Wow.
Hey, Jan.
20, I mean, 20 years and oh man.
Well, okay. Here I'm ready to blow your mind. Because I've been married like almost as long as you've been alive, practically. My 29th anniversary is Monday.
Okay, that's not almost as long as I've been alive. I've been alive more than a decade longer than, oh no. Yes, a decade longer than that.
Yeah. You were but a school child when I got married. But yeah, so yeah, 29 years. And it was funny. My father-in-law mentioned it, and I was like, 29 years. That's so long.
Well, because on the one hand, you're like 29 years old.
I know. How did I
So
get? How did
that's
I
what
get
makes it
married as
extra
a?
creepy.
How did I get married as a newborn infant? I don't know.
You were betrothed at birth just like a princess.
Yeah, something like that. um. So yeah.
How was your holiday? You can be honest.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm not going to talk about it much because it kind of was poop.
Yeah, mine was poop too.
Yeah, it did not feel like Christmas. I think a lot of, and I mean, I've been saying this on my stream. I don't know. I know lots of you do attend my stream as well, and it just hasn't felt like Christmas. I've heard a lot of people say that. This is kind of our. I guess 2023 was a non-pandemic Christmas, but this feels like the first one that's like, you know what? No more pandemic nonsense. Like normal life is back. Get with it. Sort of felt like that, but then like nobody wants to get with the Christmas stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It just felt very lackluster. And of course, I mean, you and I both have lost people this year. That yours more recently, but
Well,
it
but and we
just
also lost the same kind of person.
yeah, yeah. And so that's tough. Your first Christmas without a loved one is really tough. And so we were dealing with that, and I don't know. It's just
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm glad
really like I was just like the whole I was just meh.
yeah. So I mean, I hate to be like bah humbug grinchy, but I'm glad it's over. And New Year's coming, and like I don't make resolutions and stuff anymore, but I welcome the new year with anticipation and hope and open arms. And I remember in 2020, like literally the first week of 2024, I stitched this little thing that said like 2024 be cool. Where I was like, come on, 2024, got high hopes for you. And, it was good for a couple months, and then it devolved into poopiness in a lot of ways. And so I'm saying 2024, you did not fulfill your end of the bargain. And 2025, I demand reparations from you.
Well, it was also did 2024 went by really fast.
Yeah.
Like I know
Yeah.
everyone says that, like especially as you get older, that like years go by faster and faster. But like I feel like this year especially
Mm-hmm.
went really, really fast. And that might have to do with the fact that like you and I in all the various things that we are involved in together, we had a lot of projects.
Yeah. Yeah.
That the year was kind of like dictated on like when certain like things we're doing had
Mm-hmm.
to be completed. So that might have something to do with it because you're always looking at like the next deadline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like I remember when we were like, "Oh my God, you guys, it's spring." And we're sitting here going, "This shit again?" Like, and for anyone that's watching that could be new, Stephanie and I are in the Northeast, so like uh,
Yeah.
uh.
Well, I'm in the Mid Atlantic. You're in the Northeast.
Well, but I mean like you and I
Yeah.
have often the same weather.
We do. We have similar weather. Oh, is raining today? Do you
Yep.
have? Yeah.
Yep. I'm
Um,
overcast. Well, for us we have rain slash like freezing rain.
it's not. It's chilly here. It's not cold enough for that here. Although, like Christmas was cold.
Yep.
My mom came to my father-in-law's house, and I went out to help her bring some things in, and I was like, oh my god, I need to go back. I mean, it's a short walk from their front door into the driveway. I'm like, oh, I need a parka. But it's supposed to be the 60s tomorrow.
Yep, we have that too.
So, and everyone's sick. So I hope everyone here, other than you, because I know you're
Yeah, for
sick.
anyone that I haven't said like yet, if you've noticed, like I just came down with something last night
Yeah. So I
because
hope
that's how it
everyone
has
out
to be.
there. Yeah, I hope everyone out there is healthy. I am knocking on wood. The only thing I have going on is the barometric pressure changes that like wreak havoc with my sinuses, but I'm otherwise fine. My husband has been coughing nonstop since Christmas. Um, and he's already pre-apologized. So I will pass that pre-apology along to the stream because you're going to probably hear him hacking in the background. My son ended up staying here while we left for Christmas. First time I have not spent Christmas with my child. It was like a heartbreaker, but he was home vomiting. So I was like, better you stay here than you give the entire family whatever it is you have. So that was another
Is
kind of bummer.
is he doing better?
Oh yeah, he's totally fine. It was like a very intense like 3 or 4 day thing. Um he got sick on Monday. He had he had a fever. I was actually a little worried at first cuz I was like, "Oh god, what is this? Has he got COVID again?" And then the throwing up started and he was like, "Yeah, this is some stomach thing." And I was like, "Okay." And then the day we came back on Thursday, late Thursday, and he was pretty good. He was like, "Bring me dinner. I haven't eaten in 3 days." So it's a short-lived but an intense. So, um, but yeah, he's out and about today, and he went to see the movie. He went to see a movie yesterday, so he's all good.
Robin says she's the only one in a household of 6 people that hasn't gotten sick. You're
Uh,
clearly blessed by the gods, Robin.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's the intestinal fortitude of women who are always helping everyone else despite the fact that you're well or sick. So, eventually, you just become immune. I think to to everything.
I'm hoping that because I'm coming down with something now, it means that I will be healthy in time for my birthday. Not that that matters a whole lot, because I don't know about you, but I'm kind of meh about my birthday too. I'm just like, meh, you know. I'm not like, oh my God, yeah. I haven't been like that in such a long time. And it's
What?
probably because of years of when I was younger, my birthday always got canceled by the weather.
Ah, yes. What birthday will this be for you?
39.
Okay. I was like, I thought it was 39, but I was like, oh no, please don't let it be 40 and let me have missed like, the opportunity to, you know.
Wait, wait. Hold on. I'm pretty sure I'm right.
All right, do some
Wait,
math.
hold on. Yeah, 39.
Wow, Jill.
I forget because when people like, oh my God, it's so bad. Like if I go somewhere and they quote like card me, meaning they just ask how old I am. And when I freeze because I'm like, uh, they're like, well, I need to see your license, and I'm like, I mean, whatever. I didn't freeze because I'm lying. Like I just froze because
I
like I'm
froze
just
because I'm
not.
so old I can't remember.
Well, and then like I feel like once you get into your 30s, you're not constantly thinking about your age because people aren't constantly talking about it like they
Yeah,
do in your 20s.
yeah.
So, and then I'm just like, and I choose not to remember because it gets depressing. So, I don't
Oh,
want to be 40.
oh.
Although I did get quite a compliment yesterday. I went to the museum to grab content for not interestingly enough, not for us, for American Quilt Study Group. And the gal working in the library I hadn't met because we all work on different days, so you often don't meet other volunteers. And we were chatting away for a while. She was lovely, and then at one point, oh, she asked what I had done, for work and stuff, and I had mentioned like 20 years in retail, and she's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, I'm 39 or 38." And she's like, "Oh my God, I would have guessed that you were like 28." And I was like, "Oh, thanks."
It's always nice to have a little bit of a baby face and people can't figure out how old you are.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, then again, they also feel like you have no excuse when they think you're 20 or your 20s or 30s, and I'm like, no, no, no. I'm over 50 and I feel like it.
Yeah, it's like no, no, no. I have earned the right for my back to hurt. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, But I
So,
mean, even
oh,
though things were kind of meh, I did get some nice presents.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, let's talk consumer goods.
Well, I mean, I feel like we should talk about the new quilt behind you because, you can't miss that big booty eagle that your head is, right at the booty.
Yeah, and I had to fold it because there's just, if you could see my whole, well, maybe I can. There's him's head. I have to fold the top, otherwise it's too big for my thing.
Hmm.
Yes, this quilt it has actually been hanging behind me for a week now. And it has been seen on my stream, but I didn't talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it with you here because you gifted me this. It was really, I mean, okay. My mother gave me money for Christmas to pay for something that's important. So
I
that
bet I
was
can guess what it is.
that was probably like that's the big Christmas present, but this one is number 2. Best Christmas present. Fantastic. Yeah. I'm so excited that you guys know I've been searching for one for a while, and Jill came across one, and it's not perfect, but it is perfect to me because I've been looking for this guy forever.
Well,
So
and the 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 rest of that story is that the price was perfect for the moment, and it came with a bonus quilt. I
it
know you
came
don't
with an
have that,
extra
like,
quilt. Yeah,
yeah,
and
it came
my
with a,
husband likes the extra quilt. It's I'll have to pull that one out this week. It's folded up with my big stack out in the hallway. But yes, so I cried when I got it, and I texted her, and she immediately called me, and I'm like, I'm crying. So
I mean, but you'd also been having a crap week.
yeah, I had.
And you didn't know that it was coming.
I didn't.
She knew about that quilt because at first I called her and said, "Hey, I have an opportunity for this quilt. I'm not interested in it, but I'll buy it if you want it." Like, and the original conversation was just that she was gonna buy it through me. I was just gonna broker the deal. And then I ended up getting a price less than the original one we discussed. And when that happened, I was just like, you know what? This is just gonna be a Christmas present.
Oh.
And I sent it off and I didn't tell her. I didn't even tell her that I'd bought it, that anything had happened.
I just assumed,
Um,
like, I kind of felt like when you mentioned it that it wasn't even a done deal with the museum because it was, the person brought it to the museum, all right?
mhm.
Yeah, and I wasn't sure like what like was the museum gonna take it? Were you gonna buy? Like I didn't know if maybe the lady had just been like, yeah, whatever, because you had mentioned it again, so I was kind of like, oh
Mhm.
well, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, so it was a nice like and like the day or two, well, like while it was in transit, like you'd had a really nasty couple of days.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
was.
just you're like telling me about your nasty couple of days and stuff and the stuff you're upset about and lack of Christmas cheer, and I'm just sitting over here on the phone like, like the Grinch smile, like,
Yeah, and actually, I was out of town when it arrived because my mom had some medical stuff, and I was down there, and I came back home, and I saw it sitting there, and I was like, okay, I didn't order anything. I'm like, what is this? And it's a big box. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, oh my gosh, this must be my gift from Jill. You know, because she said, I think you had said, like, there's something coming in the mail. And I was like, oh, is it my Christmas present? And then my husband goes, have you mailed hers yet? And I was like, no, it's still on my desk. And he's like, well, then you can't open that.
Yeah, and you text me and tell me what he said, and I was like, open it.
Yeah. So, um, but speaking of eagles, real quick, I wanted to put this.
Oh wow, you're making an eagle?
Well, my whole background's probably gonna come down. We were looking at quilts not long ago, and remember the quilt that looked like this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is Barbara
Did you make
Brackman.
that?
Yeah, this is Barbara Brackman's pattern.
Oh.
Yeah, and the pattern. It's 4 of these that make the pattern. But I just am doing the one.
And of course the background is pink.
Yes. And so this is a little bit of a statement piece. As you can see, the fabrics are little novelty prints of a circus. And the top's supposed to say Liberty.
Yeah.
Mine
Cool.
Mine does say Liberty, but notice it's got a little punctuation.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna turn off my camera real quick because I'm gonna blow my nose.
So yeah, this is my little take on, our political circus, and it was a fun, it's all hand applique, so it was a fun little stitching project. From
Are you gonna do the 4 more or the 3 more?
Nah, it's just gonna be a small. It was just to commemorate 2024's insanity of political insanity, and it continues. And we don't really talk about politics on my stream, at least, and I don't think we want to talk about politics here. But I think no matter what side you sit on, I think we can all agree 2024 was some nonsense in the U.S. as far as politics go. It always is, but it's especially,
I don't think it always is. I think it has been in the last 10 years, but not.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it was near as much nonsense before that. But
sure, yes. In our recent memories, politics is just constant. It is nonstop. When I was a kid, it was like, election year, big deal. And it's usually like 6 months before an election back when I was a kid. It wasn't this constant. And I feel like we went from like 2016 to 2020 to 2024, and it was like nonstop politics. Like, so anywho, that was what that was about. It was really, it's not about either side or anything. It's just politics. Like, I don't know. So,
Janet,
but it was an opportunity.
Janet says she's feeling some type of way, and Janet,
yeah.
I understand, but let's not digress because now I have to show people what you sent me.
Oh yes, and I did buy myself the same thing because I desperately wanted it, and I have not had a chance to look at it yet.
You bought yourself the same thing?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, wait a minute. Okay, you're talking about the other thing. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking about what you sent me.
Yes, I gave you 2 gifts.
Uh-huh.
Or are you talking about, well, I don't know. Go ahead. Show what you're going to show.
Yeah, just shut up. So this box had a bunch of stuff in it, and it's so funny. Stephanie's like, oh my god, I haven't sent yours, so I have to send it tomorrow, whatever. And then it comes like lickety split. I didn't think it would get here before Christmas. I didn't care.
I didn't think it would get there before Christmas.
And I'm like, did you pay a buttload of money to get this here in 2 days?
Nah.
Because I was just gonna be like, well, that was stupid. And if for people that have been around a long time, it was funny because of last year. And the postage due trash. Because I had sent, if for those that don't remember, Stephanie had sent me raw cotton bowls thing, to do our cotton batting experiment, which is still not complete. Stay tuned. But she sent that to me. I knew that was coming. That was just part of an experiment. That wasn't necessarily like, a Christmas gift or anything like that. Well, I had sent her like a Christmas gift, and it wasn't even planned. We never even talked about sending gifts. That's just it's my love language to give gifts. And I actually don't remember what it was. Do you remember what I sent you last year?
Oh, you sent me the little ducks.
Oh,
Um,
that's right. That's right. That's right. They were ornaments, and that's why I sent
yeah,
them for
and I
Christmas because
thought
that was
there was something else too, but now I'm drawing a blank.
I'm sure there was. I
Yeah.
can't remember what the hell it was, but I wrote her a card because I'd gotten this like really pretty Christmas card with like a quilt on it. Anyway, um, and she like texted me, and she was just like, "Oh my God, this is so gorgeous!" And I sent you postage due trash because when she sent the cotton stuff, it hadn't come, and she'd sent some to some other people too, which had gotten hers. And I was like, "Wow, this still isn't here. This still isn't here." We couldn't figure it out, and then all of a sudden, I get a letter from the post office that says there's postage due.
And to this day, I do not know what happened because I have since not had any issues with my because I use Pirate Ship.
Hmm.
And I can't remember if maybe I didn't use Pirate Ship. I used a different one, and that's all I can think. Because there are two apps that I could use, and it's entirely possible that I was trying something creative with the other app and it didn't work out. But yeah, that has never happened before or since. So I'm sorry. At least it was you.
Well, and it's funny because when she said postage due trash, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for anyone. Like I peed my pants. I laughed so hard. So like that's been like our thing, and she was just like, I gotta send the post. I promise not to send postage due crap this year or trash, whatever. So anyway, so there's all kinds of goodies in this box. It was heavy when I picked it up, and the first thing was this. And at first I'm looking at it like, huh, I wonder what this is. Blah. It's the box does not portray what's
No,
inside.
it was actually the box that my glasses came in.
Oh,
And it was
I
just
wouldn't guess
it
that
was
either.
just the perfect size. And it was a very heavy box. I thought you could reuse it for something.
Yeah, it's a good no, it's a good box. And I like me a good, of course now I can't get it open.
A
I
nice
like
good
me
box.
a good box.
Hmm.
Um, so for those that had watched, and had been around, um, us reading Don Hermes' Patchwork Pillowcases book,
And Hermes.
unframing my Patchwork Pillowcase that there was thought could be a privy bag. I think it's the last one of the last videos we did.
Hmm.
Um, So yeah, I opened stuff up and Stephanie made me a privy bag. It's got the loops at the top. It's got the slit in the back for you to put, your newspaper trash in it to
Well, I
wipe
mean,
it down.
if only I had an old Sears catalog, but I didn't. I did have something that's more modern and useful.
Yes, and then I noticed it feels rather heavy. And she sent me poopery. Which, for those of you that don't know what this is, it's a spray that you spray the toilet water with before you do number two. And then once the number two hits the water, it like releases like scent in the air. And then I wasn't paying attention at the time, but Steph told me later about where this applique pattern came from. Do tell them.
So, if you remember back when I think was it October, when we went to Pennsylvania
Yep.
and we decided because we would be together to do some content stuff. And one of our stream, I think it was our live stream there, we looked at the bed under the box, which you had won in the AQSG auction. And so it was, some woman, turns out her name was Marjorie Fitch. And she had collected all this really, cool stuff from the 20s, 30s. There were letters, all kinds of fun stuff, but go back and watch it. It was fun. But yeah, there was an applique, that applique
Mm-hmm.
traced. And so I traced it. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool. So that is what I did.
Yep. So now I have to figure out. Hi, Anne. Now I have to figure out where to hang it. Um, I actually might hang it on like the outside of the bathroom door, just so that it doesn't get any light on it or anything. But I was like, oh my God. And to be fair, you did tell me that you were sewing me something. I thought it was something totally different. But I was like, that's so freaking cute. And then if y'all remember, I'm sure you are because I've mentioned it a million times. Stephanie has bitten me with the EPP bug.
Ah, my mummy's here.
And oh my God, Ivan, you made it. Um, and happy when I was opening this, I'm like, oh, she cleaned out her sewing room.
You know, and
'Cause
I had more shapes and I cannot find them, but I will unearth them soon and you will be the
yeah,
recipient.
she sent me some humongous shapes.
Yeah, they're the big ones that I could find. I have little ones for you though.
Um, and then she had told me about this thing a while ago when I started doing the EPP. She's like, "Oh my God, I'm going to you this thing," and she just hadn't yet. And it's this thing of hexagon shapes,
Hmm.
and it's got
And I can't remember the.
all kinds of different patterns and things. It's really neat. I was very
Yeah.
excited. Actually,
And
it
I
just
can't remember
reminded me
the
that
author is if anybody who's done any EPP, the author's pretty famous. And I'm drawing a blank on her name.
Katchameric.
Yeah, Kaczmarek.
Yeah, it's published by that Patchwork Place.
Hmm.
It is very cool. I was just like perusing through it. It's got some really neat stuff on here. So I was very excited about that. And then is this that thing you mentioned you got yourself to? The book? Okay. Because then and then the other thing she got me, which I didn't go and
Hey,
make a thing
Martum.
for this book. I've got to go grab a link for this book,
Oh
but
yeah.
I
So
didn't. I
it's
forgot
yeah,
about this one.
yeah.
She gave me this book, which is very cool. It reminds me of those like little encyclopedias about like world history that would have
Yes.
like little tidbits about. That's what it reminded me of.
Well,
Let me
yeah.
just quickly grab a link for this book. Go ahead and
Oh,
talk.
okay. I was gonna grab it, but yeah, okay. If you're gonna get one, it's uppercase. If you go to uppercase.com, you can.
No, I'm trying to get a affiliate link for us.
Is it? Did you find it on Amazon? I don't know if she sells it through Amazon.
I didn't look.
I don't. I'm not sure if she does. So uppercase is an art magazine. Janine Van Gool. She kind of known in modern quilting and, but also in like paper arts and stuff. I don't know how to really describe uppercase other than it's just like art stuff. And oh gosh, she's been publishing for like, I don't know, maybe 12 or
Oh
15
no,
years.
it's not on Amazon.
Yeah, I think you have to go to uppercase.com.
Oh.
So anyway,
Well, then I'll let you grab it because you're the one that has to put it in the chat anyways.
okay, I'll do that in a second. So uppercase again magazine, but she's also published a bunch of other stuff. Like she's worked with Lisa Congdon, who's a pretty well-known illustrator,
Mm-hmm.
and about 10 years ago she started it like releasing this encyclopedia. And one of the first ones was Feetsax, F for Feetsax. That was a really good one. Um, was for vintage, N is for notions. So she's done a bunch of really cool ones. There's a sewing one. There's paper. There's a ceramic one.
This thing
Yeah,
is so cool.
yeah. So and it's she solicits contributors. She does a lot of pre-order to fund the publications. It's all
Hmm.
very like a DIY kind of thing that she does. So anyway, she's an interesting lady. And I have a lot of respect for somebody that can run a publishing company kind of single-handedly for
Well,
many
and
many years.
this is the thing I like about this is it is a thick book,
Hmm.
but because let's see, it's like 450 pages, but it's very digestible because it's not a ton of print.
Hmm. She does, yeah,
Um,
lots of pictures.
and it's small articles, just a few pages. Honestly, like I'm not like not to get graphic with you guys, but like this would kind of be like a good like bathroom book because you're only going to read, 4 or 5 pages at a time to learn about whatever that topic is. Um so yeah, like there's one in here about bias, there's one in here about sequins, all different kinds of notions. The photography in here alone, mwah, like
Yeah,
all the
she so either
notion pictures are really cool.
hmm so what she does, if I remember correctly from her past books, what she does is she borrows a lot of stuff from people and does the photography herself. And if for whatever reason, I guess she can't borrow the piece, she kind of demands like really high resolution photography.
Mhm.
Um, so it's a really, they're high quality publications. Um, so I put um, specifically the
Hi,
Notions book.
Christine. My friend Christine is in the chat. She says Jill likes a
Yay!
thick book.
So yeah, that was the heaviness of the book was the fact that that book has those glossy pages and it weighs about 8 pounds. Also, what I didn't ask you if you noticed is if you take the book band off and the dust jacket folds out, and there are I think 6 different dust jackets that you can choose from.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I didn't mine's on my bookshelf. I didn't grab mine, but yeah, if you take it off, you can like,
I don't usually experiment with dust jackets.
well, but
Uh,
this is what she does. Like all of her those encyclopedia books have a different like 6 different dust jackets that she designs, and you can pick which one you want your book to have.
Interesting.
Yeah. And also so the Feed Sacks one is primarily written by Lindsay Cray. I think her last name is hyphenated. I can't remember the second part of her last name, but it's Lindsay Cray, and it's Linzee. If you search her for like Feed Sacks Lindsay, you'll find her. That one was I think my first one, and it is really really good. So I think and she's republishing it. I think it's
Hmm.
been sold out, but she's republishing it. So just a little heads
Oh,
up.
Christine just says she designs for Wyndham Fabrics.
Yes, that was the other thing I was gonna say. Is I think I'm gonna say she's done at least 2, maybe 3 lines. And what her designs look like is like the spines of her magazine. She does this, you know, the way she puts it together. There's a masthead and then the spine, and it's different every issue. And so they're
Hmm.
my mom. I think she must be she must be in delay reading, listening to what we were saying about the privy bag. So
That's quite a delay.
yeah,
All right, well, moving on. There are other things, and remember, I stuck a bunch of links for you
yes,
in the Slack so you
mhm.
can send out links. And you guys, the links that Steph's gonna put in the chat, those are affiliate links for us. They give us a few pennies if you use our affiliate links. It's not, I swear it's not a scam or anything like that. It's just that we are Amazon affiliate members, and we can make affiliate links to get a couple of cents. They add up to like $1, but every little bit helps. So one thing I had asked my brother for EPPing was this neck light that is fantastic, and I love it. And it has like different, you know, things on it. It is glorious. It's all like bendable and stuff. I know this is not new or revolutionary or anything like that, but I didn't have one. And it's fantastic. I don't want to be like Stephanie and do hand sewing in the dark. Because she's been like, yeah, I hand sew in like no light at all.
Yeah,
And
I
I was
hand
like,
sew in
well, that's silly.
I actually do have something like that. And I believe when I got it, my husband's like, "Oh, boob lights."
I
um,
mean, hey, whatever you gotta use it for. I mean, for men, I think it would be a different kind of light, but actually, or they can wear it, right? And like aim it at your boobs, I guess. But yeah. It's fantastic. I love it, love it, love it. Now, I got 700 books. I got to take a ton, and it's funny, I was really book heavy last year too, I think. But you know
I
what? I didn't really ask for anything. There really wasn't much of anything
yeah,
that I wanted, but my Amazon book wish list is long. So, you know.
and I feel like a lot of people I know, particularly in our sort of community, there's so many of the great books out there, and it's some of them are pretty pricey, or
Mm,
they all
mhm.
come out like when the newer books all come out at the same time. Like, and I mean, it
Yep.
makes sense. They year-end release, holidays. That's what they're looking
Yep.
for. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like a lot of people, and I have to get books too, but I feel like a lot of people
And
get
I
books.
like books. So, and actually, I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, like, I don't know that you have any of these. So,
Okay.
yep. So the first one here is called Mauve, How One Man Invented a Color That Changed the World.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Hmm. This is a relatively small book, so it can definitely considered a lighter read. It's like 200 pages, and yeah, because we've been talking, more about,
Ooh.
colors and
Oh, look at that dress. Oh, so
yeah,
pretty.
and um stuff like that. Um, I This has definitely
Mm,
been, on my list for a while. So there's that.
very cool. I don't think I knew about that book.
This one I don't like. This one will be a little more niche for most people, but it's How Not to Be an Antique Dealer. And this was recommended by another dealer friend of mine who is also an AQSG member, Whitney Conrad.
Mm-hmm.
She had gotten it and was reading it, and had recommended it. This guy has Drew Pritchard here. He does the TV show Salvage Hunters.
Okay, I thought his name sounded familiar when you held that book
Yeah,
up.
he's done some other things. He's from North Wales. Um, and he has also written another book about being a dealer called Man with a Van, which I think I've heard of. I just haven't read it. So there's that. Then I got a new quilt related fiction book. I have not read anything by this author, but she has since, this is a whole series. This is just the first in the series, and it's called Quilters of the Door.
Oh, okay.
This is a decently hefty fiction book, but I will say if you look online, it has phenomenal reviews. Oh, Janet said mauve was the color, her color of the 70s. Yes, I find mauve
Oh.
very interesting. Apparently, it was a
Mhm.
big deal when it was invented.
Yeah,
But
I like mauve. I think it's an interesting color. It's it can have that kind of, I don't know, like ick factor to it.
yeah, depending on the shade of mauve, yeah.
Yeah, but it can
Yeah,
also be like a really pretty pastel color.
yeah, my bedroom, I had mauve curtains and carpet when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like we had some mauve-ish things. Mauve, like mauve,
Yeah, I
mauve,
think it definitely made a comeback in the
and
90s,
and
especially with like
colonial
Laura
blue.
Ashley and stuff.
Yeah, colonial blue. Yes, Laura Ashley is definitely a mauve sort of thing.
So this could potentially, I guess, be a book that maybe we read together if people
Yeah,
are
yeah,
interested in that, because it is a bit of a chunk.
yeah. And
Then this
I had not heard of that one. The Jennifer Chiaverini books. Definitely they're good books, but yeah, I hadn't heard
Mhm.
of this one. So.
Yeah, I forget, someone had recommended her to me. Oh, because I had been reading, I'm gonna forget the name of them now. There's a quilt book series out there. Christine, you might remember because you were with me when I bought it. Um, it's supposed to be Outlander meets quilting. It's not. It's not. Like, it's not bad. It's just not. There's a little bit of steamy, not Outlander steamy by any means. Um, it does take place in like Scotland or something like that. But there's like hardly any quilting in it. So I don't know why she was trying to spin it that way. She also like made a fabric line to go with it that had like
Oh,
plaids and stuff like that. But anyways, I was reading that. I don't think I even finished that book. I think I got into like the last quarter of it and then I don't think I finished it. But when I was like, meh, it's okay. I don't really like it. I don't think I'll read the other ones. Uh,
Patience Griffin.
there we go. That's the author. Um, Someone had recommended this instead. To Scotland with Love. Yes, that's it. Thank you, dear. I will say though, the fabric line that she created to go with the book series is I like a lot because I just love me some plaid. But yeah, someone had recommended this instead, and I just sat on my wish list and finally got it. So Next, we have The Needle's Eye: Women and Work in the Age of Revolution.
I think this one, I can't remember if I have this one or if it's on my wish list. I can't remember.
It's put out by University of Massachusetts Amherst.
Mm-hmm.
The woman that wrote it or compiled it um is was I'm not sure because this book is older. This
Mm-hmm.
was published in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if she's still a professor, but she was Marla Miller is was associate professor of history and director of the public history program at UMass Amherst. And it's a hefty little tome here. There's
Mm-hmm.
lots of very um oh, very interesting things in this book, especially related to like costume
Oh yeah.
and all
I'm
kinds
thinking
of
I just
sewing.
have this one on my list because that's the heftiness of it is not looking familiar. So
Yeah. And then, of course, I did get The Dress Diary. This will be our first book in 2025. I did send you both the Amazon
uh
and
huh.
the A for that.
I'm just gonna copy the whole thing and put both of them in there at the same
Okay.
time, the way that you send it to me.
Um, I actually went through this book last night and broke it up into our reading sections. This book is going to take us 8 weeks. So, there's that, and this is the US cover. Remember, Stephanie's cover is different. So when you get
Yeah.
a different looking
So
cover,
this one's mine.
yeah, remember you still have the right book. It's just
Yeah.
different.
And I got mine off of Abe, and I think it came from within the US, but this is definitely the UK edition of the book.
Mhm.
And Kate Strasden, the author, is British. So
So yeah, we're gonna give out the first assignment in this book on our stream on January 7th. So our first stream to discuss this book will be on the 14th. So you still have some time to grab it. Oh, Robin got it too for Christmas.
yay!
Um, but yeah, make sure you grab that before then.
Yeah, I'm
Next,
really
I've
looking
got
forward to that.
the 1776 quilt, Heartache, Heritage, and Happiness by Pam Holland.
I have that one. That is a good book. I was just looking at it the other day.
Yeah, this is very interesting. It's more patterned than I would have liked, because I'm not interested in remaking it. But the history part is very
Yeah, it's one of
interesting.
those like half and half books. Like half of it is the stuff that we're looking for from a history perspective, and then you've got the making
I
the
know
book,
they have
making
to
the
do
quilt.
that, but I don't love that they do that. Next, I got this honker,
Ah, yes.
the red and white.
Hmm.
This thing is so heavy.
I know. Mama gave that to me a couple of Christmases ago.
Yeah, this is a reprint from the American Folk Art Museum. This was about the quilt exhibit of red and white that was done at the Armory, that they suspended things from the ceiling.
Mhm.
It was incredible. I didn't see it. I really wish they would do it again.
I hate Carrie. Cake, where do you keep all these books? Everywhere. I all of my furniture is built out of books.
I was gonna say the books we're talking about right now, these ones are mine. They're not
Yeah.
even stuff. Um,
Well, Jill obviously has bookcases behind her. I have bookcases in every corner of every room.
well, and these bookcases here, these books are not even housing my quilt books. These are housing my religion, archaeology related library. My quilt books are, they actually live in bookshelves in a stairway between the second and third floor up to my office. Um, who knows if that will be their final resting place? I don't know. They did start down here in a butler's pantry.
Yeah,
Um,
I keep looking for furniture we can get rid of and I can replace it with a bookshelf.
well, I am weeding these down because if I'm not going to be actively like doing stuff with these, there's a lot of stuff that's so academically niche. I don't need to I don't need to have it anymore. Um, and then my brother got me this. He went pretty far back in my wish list, and he got me American Quilts in the Modern Age, 1870 to 1940, and this is a heifer too. I never realized from the picture online that this was a massive book.
Yeah, show the cover of that. I don't know if I have that book.
Yeah, this is heavy. This is just as heavy as the red and white book.
Uh, what? I'm looking for the link. Did you send it
It'll
to
just
me?
say quilts in the modern age.
Oh, there it is. Sorry.
And this is the International Quilt Study Center collections before it became the International Quilt Museum.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah. That goes back a bit.
Yep. Carrie, hey Jill, totally off topic, but Nebraska is beating Boston College in the Prince. Okay, I could not possibly care less.
Your friend Christine says, drop the wish list. And
Drop it, like put in my wish list into the chat, like my
yeah,
Amazon wish list.
yeah, I'm not sure what she's asking. Well, I mean, we have a list too, but ours is not listed as a wish list because we couldn't do that. We tried. Um,
Oh
oh
yeah, I've got to do another thing with Amazon to like create like a storefront thing for us.
yeah, Mara
Yeah,
Dim.
the wish list I was talking about was my personal one.
Yeah, Mara Dim says our personal library is about 5,000 books. I'm among my people. Yes, ma'am, you are.
Wow. That's impressive. I do catalog my books on library thing. Do you?
You know, I started when I learned about library thing, because I had been doing Goodreads for a while, and it's like, oh, that's a pain in the butt. And so I started, and I just fell off on that project. But somebody I know was doing a project asking like, how many books do you have? Like books do you have?
Hmm.
And I was like, I don't know. I like, and somebody said, oh, just go to your bookshelf and like, average the number across one shelf and figure out. I'm like, I have like 8 bookshelves, 9 bookshelves, like, and I have books tucked everywhere.
Yeah, I have
Oh,
I
so
have
I
a
think
lot.
I think Christine is just curious about what kind of things that you have on your list. Looks
Yeah.
like fun books, maybe some really like devious, weird.
Let's see.
Some kind of deviant things that you have on your. I'm
Um,
kidding.
okay. I'll have to put this in the thing here for you to put in the chat. There is my personal wish list. I swear there's no sex toys. In
Did you just send this in
the Slack.
in Slack? Okay. Oh, yep. There we go. I'm not gonna share mine. I mean, not that anybody
Jan,
asked,
I'm
but
from Nebraska and I don't care either. Hey, Jan, FYI, Stephanie and I will be in the Nebraska at the beginning of April
yes.
in Lincoln. Just holler, holler, holler. Are you ready for?
I'm putting your wish list in here. Okay. Yeah. What's next?
That's true, Christine. You never know with me. She's absolutely right. Um, we
Yeah.
do know we know each other personally.
Yeah.
Christine is my friend you guys hear me talk about that's a fabric rep for New England. Uh,
Ah. Okay. It is nice to have you here, Christine. It's nice to meet
yeah,
you.
Christine, I talk about you all the time, like a
Ooh.
lot of
Ooh.
shit.
Oh my. Ooh.
So I've got this book here about Twall.
Ooh.
Do you have
I
this one, Steph?
I do not. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
not even heard of that.
This one's been on my list for a while. The only thing that so far that I don't like about it is the shape. Who is deciding these weird shapes of books?
Yeah, they are terrible on the bookshelf, but they're kind of neat, I think. I don't know. I like that.
It does not, it's not conducive to like good reading. But yeah, it's basically like a massive swatch book of twill fabric
Oh.
and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Carrie, I said Stephanie. I said me and Stephanie will be like okay, and then the last two here, because I'm sure you're getting sick of books, are from the DAR. And you've already got this one, Steph.
I
Summer
do.
in America. I did put in the DAR website too. And then I bought their quilting book bundle. And this one is Eye on Elegance Early Quilts of Maryland and Virginia. Do you have this one staff?
Mhm. Yeah, I actually have. I think I have all of their books right now that are about, the topics we're super interested in. Do they
Hmm.
still have the bundles?
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
said I bought this as the
Oh,
quilt
okay.
bundle.
Sorry, I was doing the link, but yeah. So the bundles are great if you don't have these books. If you
Yeah.
have like one or two of them, the bundle will make you mad. Because I was like, oh dang, I bought all those books separately. The bundle would have been great. But yes, they are fantastic books, and
And
I've seen.
I bought them when they were they were having like a Christmas sale or something, and things were like
Yeah, and
20% off or whatnot.
the Sewn in America book is the latest exhibit, and I've seen that exhibit. I went to the event there at the DAR, and the book is just. I mean, the exhibit is great, but it's a small exhibit.
Hmm.
So I think that the book is just, yeah. It gives you a super super awesome experience. I mean, it has great pictures. It so much information.
So the last thing I have to show you is something I bought myself right before Christmas. This was like a
Oh
business
yeah.
expense. And it's a new little toy. This is
Oh, it's
called
so tiny.
it's so tiny. Yeah, that's my hand. This is called a Pocket 2, and it's a gimbal recorder in one, so you're not attaching your phone to a gimbal. And I'll show you here when I turn it on. Boom. And then you can do all kinds of stuff with it. See, it moves around. You can get it, you can do the face tracking. There's a attachment here to connect it to your phone. Um,
I am so excited to see how this thing works in person.
and when you connect it to your phone, it automatically opens,
The app.
yep, the app. And then what will happen is you'll be able to see what would be on this screen on your phone.
Ah, that is so cool.
So, and then I was taking video, and then you can control this whole thing from your phone and whatnot. It's very cool. Um, Carrie, if you order one for AQSG, I put in two links. Get the creator combo. The one I'm showing you right now is the base model. Don't be stupid like me. Get the creator combo, or you've got to go and order a bunch of extra shit later for the things that you want to do with it. This thing is so awesome. I mean, Carrie, you should just message me separately because I also went and ordered like this accessory kit for it that came with this great little carrying case. Um, this was only about 300 bucks. It's not majorly expensive. It has so many bells and whistles and cool things. These are made for people that do online content and vlogging and things like that. It takes still photo, video. Um,
I'm so
I'm
jealous of this thing.
yeah, I'm playing with it right now because I'm doing some content grabbing from the museum for AQSG. So I was playing with it for that. Um, yeah, Carrie, just wait until I can tell you the stuff that I got. Um, and also, Carrie, I'll bring it to Maine when I see you in Maine in January. If you want to wait till then, you can see it and play with it and stuff like that. It's very cool. So, and it's not price prohibitive. Do you guys remember when we were in the 90s, like how much those digital cameras would cost, like the really nice ones? They'd be like $800. Of course, there's stuff you can get that's that fancy, but I think for around 300, if you get the creator combo, I think that's 400. It's worth it though to get the couple of things that you want to get. Um, but like $300 is not
Yeah,
is not
for
unreasonable.
yeah, for that kind of equipment, yeah.
Well, when
Yeah,
you
for sure.
consider how much people pay for smartphones,
Mm.
like I understand most people don't pay for that up front, but
I think I'm still paying for this, and this thing is
yeah.
like,
Well, and I mean to put it in perspective, I don't change my smartphone like other people do. This is still my very first smartphone and it's from 2015. So, um, I'm totally an if it ain't broke kind of gal. And
yeah,
I take care of my stuff. Oh, I'm just getting sore. So,
yeah.
um the reason I wanted that is because it's so small. I wanted something indiscreet because for me, from a antiques dealer perspective, people really like those like come shopping with me videos, and some places you go,
Dealers don't like it when you do come shopping videos.
yeah, some people are really weird. Like I think, and I mean I'm not trying to generalize, but I have noticed it does seem to be older dealers or shop owners that get concerned and they think you're like gonna you're casing the joint or something. Um, so yeah, some people are odd about it. So the nice thing is this is very indiscreet. Um,
Do you mean discreet?
yes, that's what I meant.
Indiscreet is like,
No, that's what I meant. That's what I like. That's what I meant. I have cold brain. Um, yes, it's discreet. I think I said it right the first time, and then I said it wrong the second time. Anywho, 'cause there's these all these great gadgets you can buy for it. Like this accessory thing I bought has like a body cam vest. To be honest with you, like you need to be someone thin and not a lot of boob for that because when I put it on,
you're
because
drawing more attention to yourself.
oh my. But yeah, there's that. There's also like a strap thing that you can like just strap it on to like the strap of your backpack while you're walking around with your backpack on and stuff like that. It's very cool. I'm not even at the beginning of like all its bells and whistles, but I'm in love with it. It's really cool. And you can totally like charge it in your car. And there's bases you can buy that's like another battery, all this jazz, whatever. It's very neat. So for people that are like, well, I have a gimbal, it's that concept, but it's so much smaller than that. And
Yeah.
I can attach my phone to it and not have it be this big thing. And I've watched two people now, you and our friend Tara, use gimbals with their phones. And every time I see you guys use them, it like has a mind of its own and does weird things.
Yeah, it's like.
So yeah, I haven't had like knock on wood, I haven't had issues with it having like a mind of its own or doing bizarre stuff yet. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's where
highly
I'm like,
recommend.
man, my gimbal thing that which I thought was so cool is like compared to that.
I
There's
had looked
always
around a
something.
lot.
Yeah, there's always something new and cool coming out, you know?
Well, and these aren't even that new. I had looked at these a while ago when Sunny and I were talking about getting something, and then he, being a guy, they always need things that are they think that are bigger and better, and he was like, "No, no, let's get a GoPro." And I was like, "Okay, I mean, GoPro's bulky. It's still
Mhm.
small, but
Mhm.
it's bulky for what I want to do." So he got it, and then once I showed him this, he's like, "Oh, yeah, this is better." And I had been watching a lot of people that were doing vlogs, and this is what
Mhm.
the kind of thing that a lot of them were using. I did also just recommend it to another quilt dealer friend for taking, she does a lot of kind of video vloggy kind of content too.
Mhm.
So maybe everyone will have one now and we'll just have a big party. But I was
We
thinking
could
how
just
useful.
record each other recording each other.
Well, I was thinking how, like, depending on like what I'm thinking and stuff, once you see it too, you'll be able to see where my brain's going with it.
Mhm.
But in terms of like AQSG recording, like study center things,
Mhm.
I'm like, this
Yeah.
could be very useful for
Sure.
that,
Yeah.
especially with the external mics. Because it has like face tracking and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The my gimbal does have that, but I've never used it that way, so I don't know. For all I know, it doesn't work. I don't know. Oh yeah, it would be great at QuiltCon. Yeah, I could just walk around
Yes,
in the crowd.
Carrie, that is
Yeah.
definitely one thing I had thought about for you guys to get one. You could wear the body cams and just wear them at QuiltCon and cut the footage down later for interesting things and stuff like that. Yes,
Dru-
we'll have to chat about that, Carrie.
Druid with the ancient iPhone. Oh, at least you've got something new, right? With the iPhone 4S, I had an iPhone very very briefly when I had a job that made me have a job phone, and I had an iPhone, but I feel like those early iPhones are like the equivalent of like the Fred Flintstone start your car and run with your feet kind of.
This is a 7. And actually, this is one of those, if you'll notice, as like we get the phone timeline gets longer, we always find that there are certain versions of phones they make that end up being like the Cadillac phones that like don't die. And then you get to a point where they're like, well, we're not going to support updates to those
Yeah.
phones anymore because they don't want you to use them. The 7 is one of those phones. Like
Yeah,
they're always been highly sought after as refurbished because they
I
just
have a Samsung like 9 something or another, and it's I think it's one of the gold standards. I've only had this for about 5 or 6 years, but
Mhm.
I finally
This
did
is
drop
still
it
my
recently.
very first smartphone. I did not get a
This
smartphone
is
until
my third.
2015.
This is my third. So
I stayed off the smartphone bandwagon as long as I possibly could.
oh well, Drew, you got a new one because it was no longer supported. Well, if you can get them to send you a new one, I'm all for that. Um, so are you done showing off all of your fabulousness?
I am done.
I just wanted to show something really quick. This is something I bought. I was researching something, probably the bicentennial stuff, and somehow or another, I ended up coming across this.
Oh,
This is the modern reprint of that late 19th century.
I knew there was a modern
Yes.
one. I knew I'd seen
So,
that.
and I knew there was too, and you had mentioned it, and then our friend Barb had said, yes, there is definitely a modern reprint because she used it. She makes those beautiful little doll quilts, and I think she said she'd used this on the backing of a particular doll quilt. And so,
Hmm.
and when I asked her, she said she didn't remember who made it. So when I ran across it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. And it's actually less than a yard. I probably paid too much for it, but still, it's the fabric, and I'm so excited. And I hadn't opened it yet. They packaged it up really nice, and shoot, I had their card here. They sent this adorable little thank you card. Very, I love it when the eBay people are, they're not sending. They send you stuff like with a little bit of care and concern, and not like in an old egg carton or cereal box or something. Anyway, I finally opened it. I knew it wasn't a full yard. The selvage on the side where it would have the information is cut off. So I was like, ah! So I have the non-information selvage side, but I do not have the
Christine,
maker.
are you still here? Do you know who makes that?
So yeah, if anybody remembers this fabric, I don't know when it was reprinted. I don't, my guess is it's sometime maybe in the 2000s. Um, it's got that like definitely doesn't have that 80s and 90s feel. It's definitely newer than that, but yeah. Anyway, one day I'll find out.
I actually just realized that I wasn't done.
Oh, okay.
I had I had two more. You've already seen them, but I did also get a
Oh, yeah,
couple
yeah, yeah.
sewing tool things. And from when we did the metal-ish, pin cushions, this
Yeah.
one's a camel.
I love that. Camels are an interesting thing to me. I have a number of little camel tchotchkes, and I don't know why. Camels are just. I guess it's because it reminds you of that like sort of Victorian, that sort of Orientalism that they were, romanticizing and
Yeah. Explorers
right,
and
explores King Tut, in the 20s, like all that stuff.
Mhm.
Camels are interesting and yeah.
Yep. And Sunny got me that, which is funny because like not last year, maybe a couple years ago, he got me a big swan like
Hmm.
this. And he went and picked these out on his own.
I know that's the part I love, that he hangs out with you enough when you're shopping and sourcing
Yeah.
that he knows what you like.
Yeah. And then he got me this pincushion painted
That
like
is so
bottom.
pretty. It's carved, right? Is it
Yeah,
carved
it's
and painted?
carved and it's painted and then that's a yeah, little box. Yeah,
Midnight at the Oasis, yes.
yeah.
Well, I didn't get a whole lot of sewing related things. I mean, my mom paid for a retreat I'm going to, so that's sort of quilt history, sewing related. But I did get something really interesting, and I don't know if I have enough room at my desk to show it, but it is here.
Yeah, hold your breath while you move all that stuff.
No, it's hold my breath while I move this thing.
Is
My
that
breath.
your cat?
No.
Oh, it's just a cat.
It is astronaut cat, astrocat. My brother-in-law's family gave that to me. I'm 99% certain the kids picked it out. I'm kind of like, oh my, where am I gonna put that? I mean,
That is so
it's
cute.
really cute. If it had been, they make up. There's a T-shirt of that too. I've seen a T-shirt of that. We got. Oh, I love the T-shirt. But what am I gonna do? I mean, this thing is like 20 by 30. It's really big. Where am I gonna hang this? And they asked me, where are you gonna hang it? I don't know.
Did you reply just like that? I don't know.
Yeah, I tried to force excitement. I mean, it's cute. Don't get me wrong. And I a gift is a gift. Much gratitude. If anybody wants to give me a present, I'm like, I don't care what it is. I will be very, very grateful. But yeah, I'm struggling with this one a little bit.
Were you like, it's so big, I'm gonna have to hang it on the outside of the house?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and I know I've talked about this a whole bunch of times, but my house is very small and it is old, and I don't have a lot of windows. And I also don't have a lot of closets, so I've got a lot of furniture, and so the wall space kind of gets taken up with literal furniture, bookshelves, cabinets, and things. And my husband is a photographer, so a lot of wall space is already taken up with photographs. Like our one big main display area is a lot of his photographs, and so I don't. I mean, I don't want to be rude.
Hang it on the wall in the stairwell where you often hang a quilt.
uh, then I'll have to cover it up with quilts frequently. There's a space right above my desk. I think that's where it's gonna go for the time being. I don't want to hurt the kids'
You mean
feelings.
the
So
space above your desk that probably should have like shelves on it?
yeah, yeah. Door space. I'm trying to think. So yeah, I mean, I have a few doors that could go on, I guess.
Does anybody want a munchkin?
Yeah, I do not have a garage. Oh, my mom says, "Do I need to carve out a room for your stuff?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Invest your wealth in building me a giant freestanding studio, Mom. We've had this discussion.
Janet received two Lennox Wedgwood thimbles for Christmas, a
Ooh.
nativity and an angel, and she loves them. You're gonna have to post
Oh,
pictures of those
yeah.
on the Quilt Nerding page so we
Mm-hmm.
can see them. Yeah, the bathroom. Does anyone want a munchkin?
Yes, please. I didn't bring a snack. Although you're prepared, right? So we can talk about chicken sandwiches.
Oh my God.
By the way, I don't know if you got this postcard. I am on the Quilters Hall of Fame mailing list now because I donated something to them.
I am not
Um,
on their mailing list.
so I didn't know. I don't know if you knew, but Laurel Horton is being inducted this year. July
Mhm.
17th through the 19th is the celebration.
We knew
For the
that
card.
because AQSG posted about it.
Yes, indeedy. And then here's somebody that I noticed this the other day, and I need to do the research, but this Hubert Vermeeren is also a heritage honoree. And it just says, see Hubert Vermeeren for his significant impact on the quilt world in the 1930s. Vermeeren's quilt patterns are considered some of the most complex and dramatic designs of the day. He marketed his patterns anonymously or under pseudonyms, so he is largely unknown, and the Quilters Hall of Fame feels it is time that he is recognized for his influence on 20th century quilt makers. So I don't know anything about this dude. I think he's going to be interesting to learn about. Carrie said that AQSG is going, so awesome. Um, I'm
Yeah,
gonna have to
I know we
see.
had talked about maybe trying to go, but
Yeah,
for anyone asking, we have not talked any further than that initial like, oh, maybe we should try to go to this.
yeah. So it's in
For anyone that
July.
doesn't know Laurel Horton, she is delightful.
She is delightful. She's fantastic. The sweetest lady. She is a treasure. But yeah, so this is in Indiana. Marion, Indiana is where the Quilters Hall of Fame is. I have a very, very good friend in Indiana, so I'm thinking maybe we coordinate something with her. So July
Well, and
17th through
Indiana
19th.
has some good antiquing.
Indeed. Um, so yeah, and my friend where she lives is she doesn't live where she grew up, but where she grew up has got a multitude of lakes. It's like northern Indiana, multitude of lakes. So there could be a nice lakeside Airbnb. So yeah, that's on my mind for July.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm finally gonna put on my little my
Oh,
boob lights.
your boob lights.
Actually, now it kind of looks like, scary, like, ooh,
Yeah, it depends on which way you point them.
Well, I'm pointing them down, but there's still gonna be a little splashback. Like,
Um, so are you going to be stitching? Are we finally getting to the stitching portion of our program?
well, hey, just because we're saying, stitching and glitching or bitching or whatever we're doing, it doesn't mean that we're the ones stitching. It can be people stitching while we're bitching,
So
you know.
I don't think if I told you this. I think I mentioned this to my stream.
Yeah, it's likely you didn't tell me.
So what I have to work on today is this. I was looking for something the other day, and not that I forgot about this. It's been sitting on a shelf, and it's just been there. And I don't know how many years ago I got this. It's by Clover Needlecraft. It is a little loom, a mini weaving loom, and it's all
Huh.
plastic.
Hmm.
So I thought I would put that together, and I just realized I set this here, and I have nothing to weave with. So may have to go off camera for a minute to grab some string.
I have been slowly but surely um basting little, half-inch hexies, and I'm slowly amassing a tiny little collection.
Yeah, I like
And
that you have them in a little container like that. I see lots of people keep their hexies like that.
well, and hold on, I'm gonna sneeze.
Bless you.
And I started like gluing down just a little, onto the fabric, like you mentioned.
Hmm.
So I've got a bunch of those prepped, and when they're prepped, I have them in this little tiny round container
Oh,
so that they don't get mingled. And wait until I show you the container I'm storing my EPP in now. Um, and then I've even started sewing some together. I'm sewing them together in like little Mickey Mouse shapes.
oh yeah. Uh-huh.
And
The
then they're
little the
gonna
little
go,
trio cluster.
yeah, and then like they'll go together. Well, that's the same color. Hold on. Come on, here's another one. Hello, little EPP people.
So Janet said mini loom stuff is a big thing in Japan right now.
Hmm,
Interesting.
here we
So
go. So yeah, so they'll go together. I'll put them together like this. Boop.
yep.
But yeah, this is now my EPP container.
Aw, that's cute. A little container, a little box.
JP Coats. It looks all antique and stuff. Like this old ad. Look up, crazy.
Sorry. Oh yeah, yeah. I have some of the singer stuff. I'm
Yeah,
trying
I've
to
got
figure out
I've
how this
got I've
goes
got some of
together.
those tins too.
Oh. Oh. Okay. My loom parts look like those picks you would put in our back pocket. Yeah, I was thinking like they kind of look like the. If only I had an afro to stick that in right. But yeah, I mean,
Or when
you
you had the 90s tight curly perm that my mom had.
have to pick that out. Yeah.
Yep.
I never had a. I had a spiral perm. My hair used to be like at least like. Well, I guess my freshman year in high school I had chin length hair, but it was always usually around my shoulders, and
I
Yeah, I
wanted
had
a
the
spiral perm so bad.
yay old
My mom
spiral
had
perm.
one.
Expensive and do not work well.
Yeah,
I
I
remember
wanted
my
one
mom
so
was
bad.
like, and I know if she's still here, she can attest to this. She was like, just get a regular perm. You don't need that spiral perm. I need the spiral perm.
And how long did it take to roll your hair?
Oh my God. Forever. And the thing is, I have very fine hair. Like each individual strand of my hair is very fine, but I have a lot of it.
Me too.
So, yeah, it just. But I did, yeah, I had the poodle cut. I looked like a poodle. And that was the plan. But yeah, I feel like they didn't last very long. Um, and I don't know if it's the way they set the curls or what, but like, they were. I can't remember if like the pearl rod, the perm rods were different. Like with the regular perm rods, you curl it up and then, it's
Well, yeah,
just.
I think I think with the spiral rods, part of the problem was your hair will be so long to make the spiral work.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of more weight
Yeah, and I
going.
don't think that you could like curl them up as tight as. Yeah, I'm saying yes. Yeah, and it was a lot of a lot of wasted time trying to make my hair look a certain way in the in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, it's funny too. As I get older now, my hair is starting to curl, even though I've always had a slight wave to my hair, but for the most part, I've had straight hair, and now, especially as it's shorter, it's getting curly, and the curls it's creating are spiral, which I just think is funny. It's funny. So you're putting together this Lumi thing.
Yeah, and I must have gotten. This is mini weavingly, but I must have gotten like the extended one because apparently it goes this way. I thought it went this way. It goes this way.
And what are you
Um,
gonna be weaving with that?
oh, I don't know. Just
You didn't get it to like make something particular?
I honestly do not remember why I bought it.
I
Um,
mean, that tracks.
but it's interesting. I've always been fascinated with weaving, even though like I've never, like my high school had a loom and nobody knew how to use it.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that's helpful.
We had a kiln. I don't remember anybody make. Well, that's not true. I personally never made anything ceramic in high school. My middle school also had a loom. I did in, I guess, elementary school too, or not a loom, a kiln. Um, yeah. Make a doll quilt and weave the binding. Would be really cool. And this is where you guys are going to shake your head and go, Cake, you are so dumb. I could try to weave a coverlet.
I mean, maybe like a coverlet doll rug,
Like a swatch, a little coverlet swatch. I don't think that that's
just
possible.
big enough to have like your name and the date in it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so I got this part done. So these are the two different like loom plates, and then here's the where you warp it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, these are the beaters for beating down the. I'm not sure if that's what they're called.
Beat it, baby. Beat it.
Beat it.
Just beat it. Beat it.
This
Beat it.
this is something. This is
Oh, wow. You're brilliant.
okay. So I think this is like kind of the heddle, sort of maybe. Does this thing work? Um.
Janet says, go for a patch for your jeans first.
Well, I think that given my abilities with this lucet, remember I was trying to show how to.
Janet might be onto something because we've talked before how, like, in general, like, coverlets aren't really like our thing, but we still think they're really cool
Yeah.
and can certainly appreciate them. Remember when, like, in the 90s, it was a big deal to put a bunch of fucking patches on your jeans and shit?
Mm-hmm.
I actually could totally get on board with the patch that looks like a coverlet or like a piece of a coverlet.
Uh-huh.
I actually think that'd be pretty cool.
You know what? And now that I think about it, I actually have a pin cushion that's made by one of those companies. that did like the Pendleton wool type
Yep.
coverlets.
Yep.
I'm wondering if I could look at that and figure out, because I mean it's really this doesn't look right. Okay,
I'm
so
definitely not the person to ask.
these things I should probably read the instructions, shouldn't I? Okay, so I know
Robin
this.
says, since you're gonna go big with this project, I could use a California king size woven blanket.
I'm on it, Robin. So this I know is where you wrap your thread around for your extra. And
Sure.
then look at this thing. Big plastic
It's one
needle.
hell of a needle.
I got two of them because I guess at some point this is the double. This is the extended version. Okay. Now. Oh, okay. I grabbed the right one. Look at this. Look at all the instructions here in many, many languages.
And you're not reading any of them.
Yeah, I'm just making sure. Yeah. There's a lot of languages here. You know, it's always interesting to me when you get a product and it's got all the instructions or the warnings or whatever, and you look and see what languages, because that'll tell you like where the thing is distributed or potentially distributed. And I had something the other day that had such a weird, but it had like Romanian, Turkish. I'm like, where this company, I guess, has a pretty wide distribution. Okay.
Actually, Steph, you know what? Because of the size of that thing, you can weave me something really long to go right here.
Oh, it needs to be in reds. Okay. Thanks, Robin. And you know what? Would you kick in for the supplies? $50. I don't remember if I told you guys the other day about that Instagram account I look at.
No.
It's Will You Sew It? It's called so will you sew this? Can you sew this for me?
Oh, I've seen these
And
stories. They're almost like "Am I the asshole" kind of stories.
kind of, but they're just like, you think you've heard it all and you see, and but the thing that is consistent that everybody who watches the channel agrees is that if you're gonna have some crappy person that wants you to sew something, they're gonna offer you $50 to do it. Can you make me this quilt? I'll give you $50. Can you make my child this like professional level Halloween costume, like professional stage level craft? I'll give you $50. It's always the joke, like it's always $50. So.
Speaking of $50, if you want to go back over to the Slack stuff, I did also want to make a last minute shameless pitch for
Oh,
for for support, because we don't have subscriptions currently a thing. So other than the affiliate links, which give us 5 cents for everything you buy off an affiliate link, we do have a buy me a coffee account. And in essence, it's like giving us like a tip. Um, and some people were very generous to us over the holidays.
yes.
Um, and that was amazing because we really, really appreciate that. That really like helps us do some things and helps us grow some things. And that's fantastic, and we appreciate everybody. So if anybody at the last minute here of 2024 wanted to chip in, every little bit helps. We love
It
you, and we love doing
does.
this, and we want to do this.
I might be able to chip in $50. Thanks, Robin. Oh, Mara Dim says Ko-Fi. You know what? I have been looking at Ko-Fi for my channel, for my Twitch channel. So that's maybe a 2025 project for me, if I can get my act together.
I have not. I don't know much about this. What is it?
So Ko-Fi, it's like a Patreon, but a lot of people on Twitch use it.
Mm-hmm.
And so our friend Mama is a fan. My people that come to my stream know who she is. She actually teaches quilting, and she has a pretty neat setup. But she uses Ko-Fi, and she puts all of her patterns on Ko-Fi for her subscribers. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Okay, so these things are not. I've misnamed these. These are the shed sticks. So these are the ones you put under there, and you turn it, and it creates a little hole for your
Uh-huh.
weft to go through. I'm still not clear what this needle is for because you don't weave with the needle. Maybe the needle is for weaving in. Ah,
The end.
yes. Yeah, I think that's what the needle is for. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, it was funny. I saw something. I was looking through some of my sort of like Connor's old school stuff and just stuff, and I saw his. He had this woven thing from like I don't know, first or second grade. It was really cute. And it's woven with like all kinds of different fibers. And I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they, you know, what they made like cardboard looms or how they did it. So Maradim has accounts on Ko-fi and Patreon. Do you mean accounts like that you subscribe to stuff, or do you have an account like people could join Maradim? I don't know. But yeah, I made my account on Ko-fi. I just haven't had a chance to like. I say this all the time. Like I never have a chance to do things because, you know, life gets crazy all the time. But
And
I
I've come to find out like sometimes it's totally a sense of like life gets crazy and you're actually physically busy. And then other times I feel like life gets crazy and then you end up in functional freeze.
yes, and you can't necessarily like you can't just get your act together to, um,
Do the things.
yeah, yes, exactly. It's like it comes up and it's like, ooh, I need to like block out a couple hours for that thing, and then it gets pushed, and then that couple of hours you need to block out just becomes like, oh god, it's a big thing, when really it's just a couple of hours. I figured it out.
Yay. Well, like yesterday for me, so yesterday I was trying to rush up to get to the museum. I'm sorry, not yesterday, Thursday. I was trying to rush to get to the museum because the content that I needed to film, let's see, what time is it? They're gonna be taking it down in a half an hour. So I'm like, I've got to rush and get up there and film this content before it's gone. Holy crap, whatever. And I get 2 miles from my house and my brakes start shorting out. So I was like, well, crap, I guess I'm not doing that today. And I get the car back to the house safely and everything. But then, like, that made me so angry. And I definitely could have pivoted and worked on like other things throughout the day. Like I'm telling you right now, from the backside of all the kinds of things that Stephanie and I are involved in, there is never a moment when we could not be working on something,
Yeah.
even just minutely tweaking something, for various things and projects and organizations and whatnot. But because I was so angry that my car ruined my day, I could not do anything for the rest of the day.
Yep.
Like
You just had to go
I
home and be pissed.
Yeah, I just had to be like
Yeah.
I was just in functional freeze all day because for one I was so stressed out about like, oh my God, now I only have like, 1.5 days to like get this thing, blah, whatever. And yeah, I was ugh.
Yes, that was super super annoying. Um, oh, we missed it. So yes, Robin. Functional freeze is common. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's this time of year is super bad for it too. You know, because you've got like seasonal depression and holiday, you know, trauma to deal with. Oh, Maradim has mentioned. Okay, so Ko-fi and Patreon is where you subscribe to others, and a pay raise takes effect on January 1st. So I will need a new place to subscribe as a supporter. Hint, hint, Jill.
Oh,
Let's see. Janet says, Jill, I got a cardboard thing from Australia for gluing down fabric to the EPP paper. It's called Tack It Easy 1-inch folding press. I have seen this. Isn't it? It's like a little thing and you're just like bloop, 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 bloop.
oh, I have not heard of
Yeah,
this.
so you get your fingers sticky and stuff. Yeah, it's if you're gonna, I think, Janet, if I'm talking about the right one, it almost looks like a sort of it looks like a hexie, but it's got little edges and you stick your fabric and your hexie down in there and then you do your glue and then just push it and it, you know, it folds all the edges under,
Hmm.
I think.
Yeah, anything bigger than the half-inch hexies, I do glue based. The half-inch hexie I thread based, but Stephanie was like, just stick a little a dot of glue in the center of the fabric and put your hex on there so it doesn't slide because I had this hexie that I was thread basting and I was so like I was pulling too hard on one side of the fabric and then by the time I got to the end, like there was like next to no fabric holding the hexie in on the other side. And that's when Steph's like, just put a little glue in the center so the hexie doesn't move around.
Yeah, because that's why when you see like older quilts where you'll see like a little seam and it's coming apart and then you've got like no seam allowance. It's kind of what happens. Like, stuff shifted. Um, yeah, so and they come in
But yeah,
different
Janet,
sizes.
I'll have to look at that thing.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I don't know if I saw it was an Instagram, like a video or something of somebody using one.
Probably.
Yeah. So, all right. I think I've got all the pieces. I'm going to go off camera for 1 second to go find the thing. I could still hear, though.
Thing. You can still hear what?
I could still hear, though.
Oh. All right, everyone. Time to talk shit about Stephanie.
I can hear you.
Who said I didn't want you to hear?
All right.
So I think her feet stink.
Yeah, true. Not sure what I'm going to leave with. I think
What's anybody else working on? I'm working on like this these are 1 inch hexies that I'm working on at the moment. I've got 1 inch in here, I've got 3/4 inch in here, and then I have the half-inch ones that I'm, basting and whatnot. Janet, I thought I was gonna stink at thread basting, and of course, like the first couple I did, I super stunk at it. But once you get the hang of it, I actually find that I'm enjoying the thread basting of the little ones as much as I enjoy the sewing of them. So,
yeah, I
stuff's
don't.
weird.
Honestly, I've never done much glue basting other than putting that little dot down just to hold it. Um, but yeah, I don't. Glue basting to me was more difficult because it was harder to get them out. Once you're done.
I haven't done any of getting I've done no getting out yet. So I'm not at any real point to hate anything. The
Um,
time the hate is young over here. Like,
okay, Anne's weaving pot holders. Yay! I love the pot holder weaving, and you make some beautiful ones.
yep.
All right. So here's what I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to make my warp that, and I'm gonna start weaving with this. I actually have
Whatever you say.
my other camera set up. I guess people could see this if they wanted. Let me see if I.
I don't see why they wouldn't want to.
See my messy desk. Okay. I've actually never used this thread. I feel like maybe it needs to be a little bit more beefy, but we'll see. Actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to start make a tiny. I'm not going to make this so wide. I don't know what I'm doing anyway. Okay.
I don't know what you're doing either, but I sure want to watch you screw it up.
Rude. All right, so this is the shed stick. And what does it say here? Set up the warp and prepare. Blah, 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 blah. That's after you've already wound it around there.
Oh, Janet, I know which Bonnie Hunter embroidery you're talking about. I'm doing Bonnie Hunter's, excuse me, mystery right now. Although, obviously not in this exact moment. Oh my God, you're actually looking at directions, Steph. I'm so proud.
I am. I do usually jump right in and try things without instructions.
Oh, Jan is putting together some vintage Hexie blocks that she won in a raffle.
Ooh, fun. I know
You're
my
gonna
mom
have to
has.
show pictures of that, Jan, in the Facebook group.
Yeah, I know my mom has some hexie blocks. They're not vintage though, I guess, but that I know I went and picked them up for her from a Facebook marketplace deal. and like the lady wanted $1 for them. So I drive out there to get them, and um, she's like, "Oh, I don't even want the dollar. I'm just appreciative that you're taking these." But yeah, I know she was. I think, Mom, I think you'd already started on those, like putting them, doing more with them. Instructions are when all else fails. Exactly. I don't need no stinking instructions. Yeah, I do. Okay. How to make the initial. Oh. Oh. Okay.
Oh, okay, what?
So they're telling you like you do this thing with the frame. Okay. All right.
Wow, those are some fancy nails you got going on there.
Oh. Well, yeah. These were my cousin's wedding nails I did. Ooh, a Star of Wonder cross stitch. Oh, from Fat Quarter Shop. Yeah, she's got some fun stuff. You know, I've noticed a lot of people are doing some really, really beautiful cross stitches. Of course, Robin, I know you're a long time cross stitcher. Our friend Molly has been posting some that she's doing, some like holiday ones that I was really impressed with. I just, you know, all the hand stitching and stuff I do, cross stitch. I know I've mentioned this a million times. Like, I will always it's the counting. it's the, you know, and I will always miss one. I'll make a mistake, and it doesn't work out, and then I get frustrated. And I know it's just a matter of being like, you know, present and in the moment and counting, but and then I know there's all of the tips and tricks you use. Like, I know you can do like you can baste a grid into your stitching, and then, you know, I know a lot of patterns will have that grid kind of laid out in there, but I just not for me.
I really want to do that stuff. It's just can be a little a little much to get it going.
So this is sort of an interesting thing here, this weaving stitch that they're having me do. This weaver's knot, I guess. Huh.
Is that stuff just like cardboard?
What, this?
Or is it plastic?
No, it's plastic. And it's clover. You know, clover's good stuff. Actually, I actually have a friend who is a rep for Clover. She does demos and stuff at you know, like at shows and stuff. I saw her at QuiltCon. Okay, well that's not a very secure knot, but okay. I don't know if I did that right.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, my mom says she's working on that Hexie project. Yeah, Molly has done some really interesting ones. She's done some like sampler type ones, I guess.
I think the latest one I saw her post on her Facebook was red work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, of course, our friend Dawn likes to do those ones that are like antique reproductions.
Entirely microscopic, like.
Well, and the thing is that a lot of times the reproduction ones are so good, like they can fool me.
Mm-hmm.
They're like I have been fooled before. It's funny though, if let's say I buy one, a sampler, and I think it might be real, and then I get home and I find out it's a reproduction. If I didn't pay like stupid money for it, then I actually sometimes am excited to find out it's a reproduction, because then I'm like, oh my God, great. I don't have to be worried that this is like gonna fall apart, and I can hang it on my wall.
Yeah. But then you also know that a 3-year-old child didn't stitch it, most likely.
That's true.
Reproduction.
That's true.
We've been trying to think of a tasteful like t-shirt or sticker or thing for I'm 3 and I just I just emerged from the birth canal and I had already stitched this sampler. We haven't landed on anything very tasteful yet. So
Robin's working on a really big cross stitch. Stitch Your Own Adventure, Wandering Middle Earth.
Oh, wow.
That sounds interesting.
Wow. How big is it, Robin? Like inch wise? Is it like frame it for the above your couch kind of size stuff? All right, I'm not entirely sure I'm doing this right, but it seems like it must be right. Although, I don't know how these things are going to pop off here when I do this quote unquote shed thing. Okay, yeah. It appears I am.
Sure. Let's go with that.
I do know that actually warping a loom is quite a bit of effort. And I've read a couple of books, especially the one I'm still reading right now, which is Women's Work, the First 20,000 Years.
Yeah.
And then also some of the historical books that I've read, particularly what we're reading right now, which is The Heritage of Cotton. He talks about looms. And I watched a few videos of just, cultural looming situations. Like, I think it might have been, it was an Afghani family, I think. And it showed how they do this loom where they stake it out in the yard. They literally put this stake at one end of their yard and rope off all of this, I guess that they've spun themselves, all of this thread or, warp yarn. And they're making something that's very narrow. It's actually like a halter for their camels. Or it might have been for a horse, but I do think it was a camel. And they, it needs to be a fairly long strap. So they warp this thing like literally out in their yard. And, I guess they don't get much rain. So it's something that can stay out there. Anyway, it was interesting to me how they did that. And then, like the whole family was weaving on this thing. And I can't remember how long they said it took, but it was pretty neat. Okay, I'm doing this.
Woo. You were supposed to send me a strawberry.
Yes, so about that.
Oh, you ate it, did you?
No, I did have I had every intention of sending you a strawberry, and I had one already made, and I could not for the life of me find it. I knew that I saw it not long ago, like fairly recently. And I couldn't find it. So then I was going to make you one, and I just ran out of time. I had to get your thing in the mail.
Well, lucky for you, you get another shot in a week because it's my birthday.
There we go.
Well, no, I was just threading this needle, and I was like, hey, that bitch said she was going to send me a strawberry.
Rude. Oh my gosh, I don't even have a pair of scissors here.
Has your head been with you all day today?
Not at all. Oh, no, I do have scissors. Oh, you guys, I have my cute little kitty scissors. All right, which camera am I going to? My little kitty scissors.
What is that? Put it under the big camera.
So, I got them at QuiltCon. They're kitty scissors. So, you take off.
Where's the scissor part?
I just showed you the scissor part. So they're like this, and you unscrew them, and then there's the scissors.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that part.
Yeah. So like snippy snips.
I find those are they spring? Yeah. I find those spring ones don't, excuse me, always cut very well.
Yeah, they're little springs. Yeah, but they were cute. They have a little cat on them. Okay. So, You know who I wish I could talk to right now is our friend Mary Kay because she was a weaver. And I don't know if she still weaves, but remember how she told us when she fell in love with quilts, she bought a quilt to go over her
Or
loom.
loom.
Hmm. And then I guess she discovered the majesty of quilts and was like, I don't need no stinking loom. I don't know if that's true.
Oh,
Uh,
apparently Kate
hey,
also
Kate.
has those kitty scissors. Hi, Kate.
Ah, Mama Isafan is here. Hello, lady. It's good to see you. We were talking about you a minute ago. Let's see. Ah, all right. I feel like there's good tension there. All right. Now it is saying, oh no, that's loose. This is obviously not anywhere near what warping a real loom is like. I feel like that is a complicated ordeal. Okay, now I'm
Can you play
supposed
it
to.
like a harp? There's your ASMR.
There we go. Um, hmm. Now let's see how this shed stick is gonna work. Yeah, I feel like it's really loose there on the end. I don't know about these weaver's knots. We're gonna start with an even weave, which is every other. Okay. Yeah, I guess these things are tilted far enough that way that they're not gonna pop off when I put this little shed in. So, okay, here we go, you guys. Let the weaving commence. Oh, I have to wind this. I'm sure that's not very interesting, so we can just go back big screen.
No, keep your little thing on.
Oh, Mama, I was just mentioning that somebody had mentioned Ko-fi, and I said I knew that you had a Ko-fi account and that you had your patterns and stuff there. And I was talking about maybe doing a Ko-fi in 2025 for some of my databases and stuff that I've scanned. And, I don't really have another very good way of sharing. So I thought, well, maybe people would be interested in doing a little subscription for that stuff. So, meh. Hmm.
Oh my God, my nose just like will not stop running. Oh.
So they don't take the commission structure's good. That's good to hear. I know people don't like Patreon. Um, and I've had some Patreon accounts for um, one person was a YouTuber and one person or one group of people was podcasters. And I thought they were fine for those kind of things, just in the latest podcast or the freebie podcast or whatever, or I'm sorry, the subscription podcast. But I did not love the way Patreon works for like if you want to, provide other stuff because it's basically it's like a big dumb like blog post, it's like you have to go back in time and there's no way of like organizing that stuff. It seemed like Ko-fi had some way of organizing things. So yes,
So,
it is a full-time job to do all the things. We know this. We're definitely experiencing that.
yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, like I um I really don't think I'd have an issue with this being, one of my full-ish time jobs if it was supporting something. Um, I don't, this doesn't feel like work to me.
I know.
Like, well, even the sides of it that are work, like You guys, sometimes it can take quite a while just to create a stupid thumbnail just to go at the beginning of the video on the homepage there. Um, or even like finding stuff, like it doesn't, this will never ever feel like the monotony of, let's say, retail. So I do enjoy that. And I do enjoy that it can be looped into, like my quilt dealing and stuff like that, or stuff like your art and
Hmm.
um stuff like that. But if anything pulls us away from this, it's going to be jobs that make money.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part about it. Now, I will say, in terms of like a Patreon or a Ko-Fi or whatever, or even Twitch, the thing that makes me hesitant for those is just that a lot of the audience we potentially have aren't comfortable with those platforms. And
Hmm.
the thing is YouTube does allow subscriptions. We just don't currently, we're not currently at a subscriber level yet. It
Yeah.
will let us do subscriptions once we reach 500 subscribers. So basically, I guess you have to prove that your channel is somewhat viable. Once we reach a
Yeah.
thousand subscribers, just the free subscribers, they don't have to be paid, then we can monetize for ads, an AdSense account where we will get paid for the ads that YouTube shows you. Um, and that in and of itself can turn around a decent amount
Oh,
of
Kate says she thought it was pronounced coffee. It might be. No, I think it's Ko-Fi. Maybe it is coffee. I don't know. Oh gosh, I feel like a dummy. Mama says thumbnails are fun to make. Yeah, thumbnails are fun.
they can be, but they can be a time suck. Like they're like the last one I made when the video that we did, the recorded video we put out on Christmas Eve. That one was fun to me because like when I was putting it together and I was just like throwing some stuff in there and I was like, Steph, look at where I'm going with this. It was really funny because I'd taken that picture of me looking at the Jill Sue.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, some of them are cute, but yeah, sometimes they can just take a while. Luckily, like I've kind of like made it so that we're using somewhat of like a template kind of scenario, but you don't always want stuff to look the same, you know what I mean?
Hey, Mod Art. It is cute, isn't it? It's a little clover loom. I'm winging it here. So Druid thought it was pronounced Kofi, like Kofi Annan, right? He spells his name that way. Yeah, I don't know. I think I watched a video though, and I think it's Ko-Fi.
Stephanie, question.
Mm-hmm.
The thing there that separates your threads,
Mm-hmm.
when you turn it on its side so that it creates a bigger gap, isn't
Mm-hmm.
that where you're supposed to put the shuttle through so that you know so that it goes through easier than what you're doing right now?
Yes, going that way, but going this way, it's currently the wrong shed. So
Oh,
yeah, so half of them you have to do this way, and half of them you do at the shed,
gotcha.
I guess. I mean, that's what the
Well, but
instructions are
aren't you
saying.
supposed I feel like on the more industrial ones, they have two of those things
They
and they
do.
lift one.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You don't have two?
I don't have, yeah, no, it doesn't work that way because you'd have to take this one out and reweave it through. Like, there's no way to do that. Whereas, I
I
like on a
quit. I quit.
on a legit loom, they have something that is bringing these up to create the shed, and yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, Mama, I have noticed how you you have been like a runaway success on YouTube. I think you had that one video that kind of went viral, didn't you? It was like it was the cardboard things that you were showing how to cut them to like the mini bolts, I think. Yeah, yeah. Very good video, by the way. Check that out. I don't know. Maybe have two. There's one farther down. Yeah, but the thing is, I don't. I think I'd have to keep. So like, if I look, so let me try that and see. I'll see what I mean. Why does this keep loosening up? This this weaver's not bullshit. It's not working out. I think I'm just gonna have to tie that in a knot. It doesn't want to. So the challenge is, if I put the other one in, it like can't, they cancel each other out, I think, sort of, right? So like if I put this one in the other way, oh, that's not the right thing, is it? What did I do with the other one? Oh, here it is. So when this one is active, see, when this one's active, it's opening that shed, but this one, like, it cancels that one out. I'd have to take this one out. So, like, you can only have the shed open in one direction. Apparently. So yeah, Mama, our so quilt nerding is, well, let me find it. You would think I had this right on my screen, and I of course do not. Druid can probably find it faster than I can.
Still there? I haven't heard her in a while.
Ah. Okay. So shut your eyes. Don't look at that. Yes, it is a Sunbonnet Sue logo. You might have found it. I think I have a note thing here that it's got all the links on it, but do I ever have it handy? Yeah.
Stephanie is the worst business promoter there has ever been.
Pretty much. Yeah. This is why we have like 5 subscribers. Yeah, and just to let everybody know, we are co-streaming right now. So
Yeah, I had no idea until you started talking to people that I noticed were not in the chat.
Sorry. You know, this is a mashup, right? Thank you, Druid. I know not everybody can embrace the chaos. Well, you know. Let me make sure that the link I grabbed is the right thing. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So yeah, so this is like the, I think Druid put in the like the share one. This is like the phonetic one, the one that, I don't know. There's different links, and they all go to the same thing. So,
there's also a Facebook group and an Instagram.
Yes, we have our Facebook group. Which, you know, it's fun. You know, one of our friends, Susan, she posts all the time on there, but I don't think we often see her.
I haven't seen her
I haven't seen her in a long time. And I mean, she's a working quilt artist, so you know, I know she's working hard on her stuff. But every now and then she'll drop in. But yeah, I'll go on our page. I'm like, oh my gosh, Susan's been here, and she's always got great stuff to share. So, Oh yeah, Mama, mine is. So I also have mine archived. So you might already know that one, but. I will put that in here too, because. Oh, thanks, Druid. So Druid just put our Instagram in there, and then that's my YouTube, is the Stephanie Cake. I now have like 3 Instagram channels, and you know, it is what it is. I use them all for different things.
Hey, I have access to like 7. All right.
Well, you know, it's really
either mine or I'm helping other people manage theirs.
Well, you know, it's really awful. If you ever, I don't know. I think what I figured out is like stuff that I save. So YouTube is complicated. I have YouTube TV as my cable. So um
Oh.
yeah, so we have to be logged into that, like my old personal account. And then I have my Stephanie Cake account. And then I have the Quilt Nerding account. And so I'll be in the Quilt Nerding account and I'll see a video that I'm like, ooh, I want to watch that. So I'll go to save it to my watch later and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm in the Quilt Nerding account. And but I have noticed my youtube.com, YouTube TV, I think influences what I see when I'm in the Quilt Nerding account. And I would assume you see different things when you're in there, hopefully. But if you are getting a lot of like murder, because that's the kind of stuff I watch.
No, I'm not.
Oh, yay! Thank you, Mama. Always nice to have new subs.
Oh, thank you.
I really
I was gonna
appreciate
say,
it.
Stephanie, I have no idea what you're talking about if you don't tell me what that chat says.
Sorry. Yeah.
I,
Okay.
because I, since I didn't know you were co-streaming, I didn't end up opening that on my phone.
Yeah. Well, the thing about our co-streams are I can easily see Twitch usually behaves better than YouTube does. I feel like YouTube makes you jump through a few more hoops from the streaming software um, than Twitch does. So, okay, I've got 3 rows.
Yay!
I think I'm doing this right.
It's starting to look like something.
I do enjoy using the little comb. Um,
Janet, I can guarantee you, you can learn Instagram if you want to. Stephanie and I recorded our kind of intro to social media that we did for AQSG. So if you're gonna be if you're gonna, sample any of that with the virtual seminar, it's for members and non-members can get in there. Um, you can watch that. Oh, hi, Mama Isa fans. It came over to the chat over here too.
Yay!
Lovely to see you, dear. Um, so Janet, you just think you don't understand, but I promise you, you understand a lot more than you think that you do. But with that said, by all means, support the Facebook because the one thing our Facebook group has that our Instagram doesn't is the ability for you guys to post stuff. And that's the reason for having both is so that there's a place for you guys to share things and not just us posting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't really care for things like Discord. That just brings me back to the days of message boards. And I don't really
Yeah.
miss those.
I like to participate in Discord and stuff, but I do not necessarily like to, be involved in it from a. Does this make sense? Like as a content creator, I like to be on other people's Discords, but I don't. I don't want to have to.
I just don't like the way it presents. Like you have to scroll back or you miss
Mm-hmm.
like things or there's conversations you have no idea what they're happening. That's one thing I like about Facebook is each conversation is completely separate from any other conversation. Um, so I like that. But I definitely want the user ability for other people because when people want to share things, it's either you've got it would be like, well, you have to email us and then we have to share it for you. When no, just go into the Facebook group and you can share it and people can comment on it and we don't have to be involved other than the fact that we're hosting the area for you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is wonderful.
Yeah. I don't know. There is so much social media out there. And I mean, we've said this on when we did our little training. It's like there are so many different things. You do not have to learn them all.
No,
We don't.
no, nope, I don't do X. I don't even do Threads, which is Instagram's version of X.
Mm-hmm. I'm
I
not.
don't do
I'm not
TikTok.
a. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I even have an X account anymore. I might have turned it off. Like I said, Robin kind of still sort of manages the Quilt Nerding Discord a little bit. So I do like to go on there and see what people are up to.
Oh no, she manages the Quilt Nerd.
I'm sorry, yes, the Quilt Nerd Discord, which you guys know we're a spinoff. Um, That is cool, Janet. Your daughter works at Facebook or Meta.
Well, I mean, if your daughter works at Facebook, Instagram would be supporting her too because Meta
Yes,
owns both of them.
this is true. Yes. All right. I think what I've got going on here with my little weaving is that this thread is probably both this thread and the warp. The warp and
Is
the weft
probably what?
they're too light. I should be using like heavier yarns, I think. But, you know.
So Blue Sky is created by the person that had originally created Twitter before Elon took it over.
Yeah. And I have a Blue Sky account, but I follow nobody.
Yeah, I haven't jumped on that bandwagon yet. I never did Twitter, even like I had an account, but I never did anything with it even before it was bought out because it's just that's a text-based app.
It is. I mean, you can put images in there. I just feel like
Sure, but it
the
was
way that
originally meant to be just text. It's just not really my jam.
yeah, it isn't. And I don't know, it's just got a different feel to it that I don't love. Although a friend of mine is on there and selling paintings, and so I keep thinking about it. And I'm like, local emergency services on X, yeah. This is true. They do put stuff the what do you call it? The utilities, your local police precincts stuff. They put info on there for sure.
I have to say, when they first came out with Threads and people were talking about it, I thought it was a place like just for textile people.
Well, I was mad. I was like, "Oh no, how dare they? They're taking that away from some textile person that could be using that."
Well, here I was thinking like, oh my God, someone went out and made a social media platform like just for textile people. That's so
I know.
cool.
I love it.
And then I was like, oh,
But you know, it is kind of interesting that a thread. Now, I know they're going off of like conversation thread,
yeah,
but it is very interesting. And I know I think I read something about this not long ago of like all of like the textile type of words that are in our language. Um,
yeah,
you know, like weaving a story and following a
yeah,
thread and all that kind of thing.
yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, you're welcome, general public. It looks relaxing. I don't know about that. Let's see. So Janet's daughter works on the commercial side. Gotcha. Oh, a document archivist. Interesting. Who was I talking to recently that is an archivist or was an archivist? It might have been something I was watching. Oh my gosh, you guys. Here's what the thing I did do yesterday when I was being lazy. I was trying to do some things that were productive, but I ended up kind of just sewing for a while and watching TV. I started watching, and I think it's on Prime, Glitter and Greed, the Lisa Frank story.
Oh, I've already binged the whole thing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I think here's the interesting thing in terms of you and I. And I'm not finished. Is there 4 episodes or are there more than
Something
that?
like that, yeah.
Okay, I've watched 3 episodes. So, if you are a Gen Xer, you will remember Lisa Frank as stickers.
Millennials do too.
Right, but well, I'll get there. So when I was a kid, so Lisa Frank specifically targeted girls like 8 to 10. And when she came out, I was like 9 years old. It was like 1982 is when she hit the sticker market. And, you know, if you were a 9-year-old, 10-year-old girl in the early 80s, like you were just shunned if you didn't have stickers. So I remember my mom would take me to, there's this little shop, and I'm trying to remember what all they sold. It wasn't a toy shop,
Oh,
but
Learning Express.
no. It was this place. It was this little independent place. It was in Occoquan, Virginia, which is sort of a artsy, craftsy, old historical thing, like on the tributary of the Potomac. and they have like a little downtown, and we used to go there. And so this one shop, they had like dollhouse furniture things, and then they had like a whole wall of stickers.
We had
And
that too, and it was called Learning Express.
yeah, this I don't remember what this place was called. And I want to say it might have been attached to, like, it was right beside a restaurant. I don't know. It was just one of those little cutesy little downtown kind of things. And I remember I would be allowed to go in there and get like a bunch of stickers off the rolls on the wall.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Lisa Frank was at, at Toys. Do you mean Toys B Roy? Or do you mean Toys R Us? I don't know. I don't know that. Scratch and Stiff stickers. Uh-huh. Yes. So I had one of those albums, and like
Yep.
they made albums where you could like stick the stickers on like a waxy
Yep.
page. And then they had the ones that were like what was like baseball cards, like, oh, Toys by Roy. Okay. I've never heard of that. So that must have been you're Texas, right? I think. That must have been regional, because we had KB Toys.
We had that
Um,
too. Yep.
yeah, that I don't know if KB is nationwide or if they're East Coast. I'm not sure. In any event, yes. So Lisa Frank went into all of these specialty stores. And then your era of childhood is when she pivoted to the school
Stationery and stuff. Yep.
supplies and stationery. That by then I was in college, and that was like, I wasn't into that. Okay, Mesquite, Texas. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I was like, oh my God, Lisa Frank, like this is my jam.
Right?
Totally ruined my childhood. Not really.
Yep.
I mean, it was really interesting to find out like what the real deal was. And I'm not gonna get into deeply into it because I don't want to spoil it, because hopefully you guys will get a chance to see it.
It is a hot mess.
Yeah, if it's something that you're interested in. Yes. Okay, Robin said they did have KB and Toys R Us. Okay. So yeah. it was quite surprising. I will tell you one spoiler. Lisa Frank in the beginning did drawings, but Lisa Frank generally did not draw any of that stuff.
Yep.
The little tigers and the unicorns and all that stuff, the little leopards, those were all illustrators that she hired. And she ended up marrying this guy. Like, I won't get into it. I don't want to spoil it, but she is like no contact with one of her kids.
Yep.
Just a kind of,
because she really is not a very good person.
she's not. And the husband, the ex-husband, he was kind of a psychopath.
Yep.
So Janet, it's called is it Greed and Glitter? Here, let me see if I can find it on it's on Prime.
I think it's Glitter and Greed.
Glitter and Greed. Okay. Yeah, it's on Prime. So if you have Prime.
I found it one night at like 2 a.m. or something and binged it and texted Steph and was like, "Oh my God." And you
That's
gotta watch
right.
it.
Yeah, I think I do remember now that you mentioned it to me, and you were like, "Oh, it's gonna ruin your love of all things." So yes, it is on Prime. Let me see if I can share.
I'm going to turn off my camera for a minute because I need to run to the restroom.
Okay, I'll carry the stream until then. Okay, so hopefully this is the right link I'm putting in here. No, that's not it. Bear with me. But yeah, it was just it was nuts as I was watching this thing, and I'm just going, what? I just cannot. I cannot even believe this. Yeah, so it's Glitter and Greed, the Lisa Frank story. If I go to Amazon, it'll give me the link to share. Okay, I think this is the right thing. Why does Amazon make it? They make it difficult to share things. They always have the share link someplace. So I have one more part to watch, and I will say that I don't know what's going to happen in this last part. But I do know that there was some kind of like really big kerfuffle sometime in the last few years, I don't know if it was during the pandemic or if it was right before, but I do know that there's all of those independent makeup creators, and in a lot of they're like Jeffree Star. He's a YouTuber. And I think he's been canceled because he did something awful. But and Trixie Mattel, she's a drag queen with this makeup line, and so there's all of these different independent people that were coming out with these makeup lines. And somewhere along the line, one of these independents partnered with Lisa Frank to do this Lisa Frank makeup line. And I remember looking at it going, oh my gosh, that is so cool. And not like I was necessarily planning to run out and buy Lisa Frank makeup, but I thought, oh, like if you can find this stuff easily, like maybe in the store or something, I might get a little doodad out of just, nostalgia. But apparently some real shady stuff went down. And and I haven't seen this episode yet of the documentary, but there's people that are clearly part of the makeup community that were working with her, and they say things like, Lisa Frank ruined my life. I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because of Lisa Frank. So it's kind of sad because it was such, I mean, it was just such a fun part of childhood, and they kind of talked about the fact that, like, at a time when little girls are being shown things like Barbie and, kind of these imagery that's not very healthy for children, like, tweens should not be seeing like stuff that gives them body image issues. So these cute animals, were good thing. And, to see that, be gross and issue laden really made me sad. Oh, Jan, that movie Nicole Kidman played the artist. Yes. Oh gosh. I think the movie was called Big Eyes, wasn't it? I think that movie was called Big Eyes. Yes. And this is almost like not necessarily exactly the same thing, but yeah, you've got a man who's like, I did all that, not her. And, I do actually think in the Lisa Frank situation, the man was responsible for a lot. But I also think that he's taking credit for things that he did not do, or he's, he kind of just seems like, at first I was like, this guy's a sociopath. I don't think he is. I think he's just one of those people that's like very driven, and just like probably rubs everybody the wrong way unless they're just like him. Like that's the kind of person that he reminded me of. So yeah, but Big Eyes, that's a good one. And then did somebody else mention? I'm trying to see. Oh, Thomas Kincaid. I don't know anything about that. Was there like a documentary about him, or is this just in general knowledge? Like Thomas Kincaid had some kind of, I don't know, drama. I always like to read and watch these kind of documentaries. They're so very interesting. Because, the way that you thought things were turns out to not be the way they are. So the Loom has specifically said that you want to make a curve. And I think that my thread is too thin. So I think that I'm not making a nice curve there. But I'm going to have to go find another color so I can make stripes. So, all right, this is why these knots are not working out well for me. I'm going to tie them in a knot. Oh dear, this isn't working out.
How's it going?
fine. I just sprung this knot on my loom and it's not going back the way I want it to.
I mean, it looks like you got a little fence there at the bottom.
I do, but now like this one end of the warp threads has come undone. I'm gonna try doing this a different way. So yeah, I was talking about Janet mentioned Thomas Kincaid. I don't know a whole lot about Thomas Kincaid other than not a big fan. Um, you know, just not my
Of his
jam.
paintings?
Yeah, just not my jam.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know if like maybe there was maybe it was it the same kind of deal. Like Thomas Kincaid is not really a person but a brand. Like
Hmm.
there's the person Thomas Kincaid and then there's the brand Thomas Kincaid maybe.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering did was there a studio of people that painted his stuff? It's not all him.
Probably.
Maybe, yeah. And then we were talking, have you seen that movie with Nicole Kidman? And I think it was called Big Eyes. But she painted those doe-eyed children that were always looked like they were crying. Um,
No.
and her husband basically took responsibility for them because it was at a
But I
time
mean,
when,
historically, isn't that just how what it is?
yeah, yeah, pretty much. But also, like, it was very cruel. What he did to her was very cruel. Um,
Like the only difference I think I can say with the Lisa Frank story and her husband was that he did actually do a lot of work and
yeah, and
was like,
that's what I was saying. So, painter of light didn't do his own painting. Ultimately, he cheated on his wife and died of alcohol and drug overdose. All right. I'm gonna have to check that out. Painter of light, precious moments. Now there's another interesting topic. Did you know that there is a Precious Moments chapel? I think it might be in Texas, Mardom. Is it? Do you
I
know?
was never into the precious moments, but at the same time, I there was something out at the same time. I'm all set, honey. Um, as precious moments called dreamsicles that were also like cherubs things.
Mm-hmm.
I did collect those,
Yeah, I
but I
was gonna
didn't
say,
do.
didn't you collect some little tchotchke when you were a child?
Yeah, dreamsicles.
That's what you used your money on to buy your collection. That Jill and 45-year-old women collect.
Hey, I only ever found out about them because another girl in sixth grade, brought one in for show and tell.
Yeah, I have to admit, I didn't really. I mean, I've always collected things, but I don't know that I've necessarily ever collected anything other than mini brands. You guys know I'm all into the mini brands. And that's why I don't have a whole lot to show in terms of Christmas because my mom gave me financial gifts, and Jill, of course, gave me this beautiful item. My in-laws gave me cat straw, and my son and my husband gave me mini brands stuff. So I had like a little frenzy of opening those. It was fun. We between me and my son, we got some fun ones. So that was our big thing. But yeah, I've never really collected anything like like a Hummels or Precious Moments or anything like that. I know Mom collects the some of the Jim Shore stuff, specifically the snowmen. Do you know Jim Shore? They're sort of those resin. They look like they're carved, but they're resin. And they're fairly big. They have a lot of like quilty kind of stuff on them.
Oh, yes. I know what those are.
They frighten me. They're cute, but I don't want them all staring at me. I know if you've ever been into like, well, I mean, to somebody's house who collects that kind of stuff, or like an antique shop that has like a whole case of them, and you're like, there's something else. Let me see if I can find the Jim Shore stuff. I think I'm gonna have to go watch that last episode of Glitter and Greed. Done here.
I wish I could tell you it gets better. And
Oh, I know it doesn't. I was saying while you were in the bathroom, I was saying I do know that there was, and I know that's what the episode's going to cover. Um, the it's about the makeup line. I had kind of vaguely heard some of that because when they announced that it was going to happen, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, and I thought, if they do something like a cute little eyeshadow or a chapstick or something, like I would buy it just for the
Nostalgia,
the nostalgia of it. Um,
which is what
but
they were going for.
yeah, and I just know that it totally blew up. Um, and then I saw that some of the previews were like people like, um, Lisa Frank ruined my life, like stuff like that, and I was like, oh my god. Um, so let's see. Oh gosh, I'll just put the Jim Shore website in here because he's got a lot of stuff. But
Yeah, I'm
it is.
not gonna lie, like after watching that, it there's definitely a part of me that like wants to go to one of those trade shows that she would be at just to yell at her.
Oh, but then they did talk about she went to that one trade show and she basically had like a folding table and a little thing taped behind her. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a trade show, but trade shows like they go all out, like just
Mhm.
bonanza on these booths, and that's why sometimes trade shows can be make it or break it for brands, products, companies, because if you want to really make a splash, you got to spend a lot of money, and if you make that splash, it's good for you. If you don't make that splash, you're out a lot of money. So
One of Semi's
yeah.
old clients was T3 Expo, based out of Massachusetts,
Mhm.
that build those trade shows,
Mhm.
and the kind of money that would be
Yeah.
thrown around on that.
And apparently she went to one of those trade shows just with like her little folding table, and people were like, okay.
Well, and like apparently like no one went to her table.
Yeah, and like I you think about it, why would you? Because you'd be like, well, what is this broken down nonsense?
Yeah,
Um,
unless you were someone that remembered. But yeah, after this after this documentary, I can't I can't see her brand doing a whole lot.
no, and yeah, and she released a statement that's pretty much like, wishing our fans and our um you know devotees or whatever, wishing them the best, and
Well, she said like we're gonna be back and better than ever, and
yeah, yeah, wait for the next big thing, and yeah, very um yeah, I think that whatever happened with that makeup deal, I mean, it burned the people that didn't know her, like from our generations,
yeah.
and I'm sure, those people particularly should cause financial harm. And I gotta be honest, Generation Z, you burn those kids and they will come after you.
Yep.
They don't take it lying down. Um, so yeah, that's I'm interested to see what happens in this. All right, I think I need to go get another color. I don't know.
You turned off your big camera.
I did because I'm sure it was getting like not interesting, but this is what I got so far. Kind of looks like what you would expect.
I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. I got to figure out a better way to anchor the warp than what they say, because this knot that they have, it's not working. I don't like it.
The knot is not.
The knot is not. Yeah, so I got to figure out something there. I have actually I cannot show it because it has so much more work to be done on it. And I don't like to show fully fleshed out plans because I may never get it finished.
Uh-huh.
But I am working on another needle lace piece. It's like it's a series. So that will be fun as I work on it, and hopefully I'll get it to a point where I can yeah. Oh, Janet said I think Jim Shore retired. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe he retired creating them, but his company's going strong, and you can definitely still buy them. Enesco is the company that distributes Jim Shore stuff, and they're like the anti, or not the anti, but like Hallmark's biggest competitor. You know, Hallmark creates all these like ornaments and this and that and all these things, and UNESCO is kind of like the, if you own a gift shop but you're not a Hallmark, you go get all of the UNESCO stuff. And Jim Shore is one of those. Oh, Maradem is adding embroidery details to quilt blocks. Yeah, Janet, I don't know. It's entirely possible that he is retired as far as like designing, but he might be another Lisa Frank.
That's true.
They use his name, but he's like, yeah, somebody else has got to carve that crap.
Well, yeah, or just like Fonz and Porter, he could have
Hmm.
sold his name.
Yes. Um. Oh, the Fonz and Porter situation. Lordy have mercy. I still don't know all the details about that, but I know enough to know it was really crappy. If you're not aware, you know, our friend Mary Fonz, her mother is the well-known quilter Marianne Fonz, um, and she and Liz Porter, long time business. I mean, they're some of the original names in the 1970s, 1980s, you know, quilt revival, and their brand. You know, I mean, they have the magazine. They had or have.
Television
Well,
series,
yes, and the magazine, and then like Notions.
Notions.
And then Marianne had a fabric line at one time. I think that might have just been her, not Bonds and Porter, but I could be wrong. I don't remember. But yeah, so eventually, like, you know, brands get handed off, moved around, and eventually, you know, the Wall Street barons, the robber barons of Wall Street, were one of these conglomerates that bought Interweave, which is what Bonds and Porter was part of at the time, and just created this like really bad deal for them. And I do know that Marianne is still under some type of,
Contract.
it's not a contract though. I don't, I guess it's some kind of agreement. Um, where, for instance, I know she did she and Mary did that finishing school thing with Quilt Folk. Marianne still has to get permission to work in the industry
Under
because
her
of,
own name.
because of the Fonz and Porter deal. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that kind of stuff.
The thing that bothers me about that is, you know, like, you know, when you're purchasing someone's name and someone's likeness, when they're still you know, making Fonz and Porter Notions, they're still using a picture of Liz and Marianne from like the 70s. And I'm like, you guys couldn't have worked in there that like maybe you took some updated photography. Because
Yeah.
like,
Well,
um
but also, I mean, you think about it. If you were them and you're yes, non-compete clause. Yes, you guys, that's what it is. It was part of the agreement. There was a non-compete clause in there. I think that.
which is so weird because some of the things she's doing now is not competing with whatever they're doing.
But you know, having, well, and I mean, you know, your significant other works in IT. You know, when you get into these agreements with people that are not in, you know, they're not in our industry. They don't have skin in the game in our industry. They don't care about quilters. They don't care about people, their fabric, people that sit. They don't care about us as an industry. They only care about it. This is intellectual property, and we own it, and we're gonna do what we want with it. You know, that's ultimately what it comes down to. And you are not going to infringe upon that intellectual property, even though it is your legal name and your likeness. And I guess the way I look at it is, you know, if I had been in that same kind of a deal, I would be happy they were using an old picture of me, because I don't want them to have a current picture of me. I don't
Well,
want
I'm
that to
surprised
be.
they're using a picture at all at this point, just because like it's so dated that I'm
Yeah,
just
but
like, this
I
looks
don't
bad.
remember. Yeah, I don't know if there was a logo. I mean, I guess they had a logo. There might have been like, it might have been something with like an F and a P. I can't remember. But in any event, you know, and somebody just mentioned Nancy Zeman. I don't know what her situation was, like how much control she had over her name, but she is deceased now. She
Yeah.
passed away a number of years ago, and I don't know
Um,
in terms
Missouri
of.
Star Quilt Company bought her stuff.
Of course they did.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know, in Missouri, I don't necessarily want to get into the weeds of the controversy, but Missouri Star is, you know, went from his just in a number of years went from this, mom and pop shop who was helping revitalize the downtown of their town to this massive multi-bazillion dollar conglomerate
Conglomerate,
of
because now they're
stuff.
buying up companies left and right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They also just bought Robert Kaufman
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
and
Robert Kaufman.
that big yarn place in Mass.
Yeah. The yarn acquisitions were Jimmy Beans wool, which they did a lot of like sock yarn and stuff, and then webs, which
That's it.
the knitters are like, they're freaking out about that because webs is it was a big, it was like the fabric.com of yarn basically. It was like, they had really good stuff. It was all sourced from, all the different major retailer or yarn names and stuff. So,
Hmm.
yeah, so if it's not Amazon ruining everything, because Amazon shut down fabric.com, they were responsible for
Well, they
that.
bought it
Well, so
and
they had,
then
yeah, they had actually
ran it to the ground.
well, they'd run it for a number of years, very long time. They ran it. And I had no idea that they would make the decision they made. I was absolutely devastated. I literally went to buy fabric one day and was like, what? Fabric.com doesn't exist anymore. Thanks, Amazon. Yeah, I'm sure gonna buy your 3 yard pre-cuts of fleece because that's what I was going there for. Not. And that's actually where I bought all my Kaufman. All my Kona, I would buy on fabric.com because it was a lot of times they would have like consistently the old price on it, or
Hmm.
they would do volume discounts. So, and quilting, if you're going to make a modern quilt in solids, you can easily buy, enough yardage to get a good discount. So, anyway, let's hope that Missouri Star keeps it cool and, you know, doesn't make decisions that are
I don't
pain-
know.
painful for the industry.
There's
But
there's a lot of people in my Facebook group upset with them because their shipping department has apparently super gone downhill.
really,
Yeah, and there are a
yeah,
lot of
that
people are having a
stinks.
lot of problems with their shipping and their shipping times
Ah, that's a
and
bummer.
things like that. I stopped buying from I used to buy a lot from Missouri Star when I first got into quilting during the Downton Abbey time when they
Hmm.
had that Downton Abbey fabric. So let's see, I started at 27. So in those like first 2 or 3 years, I used to buy from them a lot. I got so sucked into that daily deal stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I eventually had to, and I do really like their rulers. Um, but I had to turn off I had to unsubscribe from their email because I would get sucked into the daily deal all the time.
Yeah, Fat Quarter Shop does a similar thing. But I was very loyal to Fat Quarter Shop, and I still am. I just don't buy a lot of fabric anymore, particularly,
Yeah.
contemporary stuff. And when I do, I generally buy it from a local quilt shop. Although all of my local quilt shops have shut down either because people are retiring or I guess they just.
There's a lot of retiring happening for
Hmm.
sure. We've lost some too in the last few years. There's on my Facebook page there's currently, and when I say currently I mean like today, um a debate going on about Joann's because they've like filed for
Yes,
bankruptcy.
my Joann's is closing down. The one I worked at
Um
is
there yeah,
closing
there's all
down.
kinds of it's funny, the one that I worked at a million years ago is still up and running. I don't know if there's plans on closing it, but it is one of the Joann stores that never remodeled.
Oh, yeah.
There's
All the ones around
still
me are the
a
same. Yeah.
tiny, like, old, crusty looking building. They had, after COVID happened, they had to put a big sign outside that says we're open because it looks closed and like they never put the money into revamping it. It's definitely not one of those like big ones.
Well, I
Um,
I can tell you about all that. That is because right before the pandemic, like a couple years before the pandemic, the person that moved in as I guess it was the CEO, came from Walmart. So,
well,
and
I mean,
I
I
worked.
the new ones were really pretty.
Well, okay, so the newer ones, and then the Joanne ETC, which we do have one in Maryland, the Joanne ETC. Those are the nicer, bigger ones. But for Joanne as a whole, you get, and I worked for Walmart when I was in college, so I very much understand Walmart's mindset too. You get the Walmart mindset trying to manage something that is nothing like Walmart, and it's not going to work out. And it's like I could have seen this coming. I was like, yeah, that whoever the CEO is going to run this place into the ground, and they did.
It's funny, I never made the connection of it being like Walmart like. I made the connection of it being like a Michaels.
Well, and it's not that it's Walmart like. It's the mindset of what they're going to tap into, the decisions they make for the store. Yeah, and
What's the easiest way to bleed my employees dry of life?
yeah. And like trends. Like Michael's is very trend driven and Joanne became very trend driven. And so it's like, well, let's get rid of all of this fabric. Let's stop carrying Kona and let's put in, styrofoam ball decorating or some kind of
Well, I
craft.
think they stopped carrying Kona because Missouri bought them. Missouri bought Robert Kaufman.
Yeah, but I think they stopped carrying Kona a while back. They never carried a very good selection of it. It was all just primary colors mostly, but anyway.
One of the things that people were worried about when Missouri announced that they bought Robert Kaufman is, oh, are they going to gatekeep Kona now and not have it in Joann's for a more affordable price,
Okay.
which seems like a Missouri thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So Mama mentions that she has an online store and decided to no longer carry a lot of fabric because you can't compete. Yeah, I have my little online shop. I have a little bit of fabric. It's mostly like pre-cuts, kind of stuff. But yeah, it's really hard, and even you have to buy it in such volumes to even make to make ends meet with and you can't offer those discounts the way that other places can. Yeah.
Robin said Joann's won't upgrade unless they're $1 million store. And it's funny because the store that I'm talking about, they can't, there's no way they could be $1 million store. They're too small. They're way too small. They can't carry enough
Mm-hmm.
of anything. They could sell literally all the merchandise that ever hits that store and still never be $1 million store
Yeah.
because it's just too small. And there's no upgrading for that store. They would physically have to move it. You can't have a bigger store where it is. And I'm assuming the reason they chose not to do that, to move it, is because the only place they could move it that could fit the type of Joann's that the bigger ones were being was next to AC Moore and Michaels and Hobby Lobby. All of those three at one point were all within a quarter mile of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So they were probably
Yeah.
like, no, 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 let's keep all those guys over there, which of course AC Moore closed. Our Michaels, it's so funny. Our Michaels has moved like 3 times. It
Our
moved,
Michaels has moved a bunch too.
yeah, our Michaels moved from a rundown shitbag site that they'd been in for a million years into this big, beautiful new building. After COVID, they couldn't afford the rent. So AC Moore closed, and then Michaels moved into the old AC Moore location. And then Hobby Lobby showed up for us, I don't know, 5 years ago or something.
Yeah, our Hobby Lobby showed up. They're in the old Toys R Us. So whenever Toys
Yes,
R
ours is
Us,
too.
yeah, whenever Toys R Us went bankrupt, Hobby Lobby moved in there. But it's interesting. The Hobby Lobby is directly across the street from our Joanne. Like literally, like you pull out of the
Oh,
Joanne
ours is
parking lot.
directly across the street, like from Michaels.
Yeah, you pull out of the Joanne shopping center lot. You go straight through the light into the Hobby Lobby one. And people are like, oh, Hobby Lobby's going to give this Joanne a run for their money. You know why they give them a run for their money? Because the Joanne is so crappy. I will tell you so it was late in the pandemic. It was not the early days because we all know that was really rough, for anybody that had fabric and elastic and whatever for masks. But later days of the pandemic, and I needed something for some project I was working on, like a zipper or some thread or something. It wasn't like anything oddball. I go to Joanne and it's like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, like on a Friday or Saturday, and they've put up a sign on the front door that says, "We're closed, nobody to work." So I was like, well, that's not cool. So I go across the street to the Hobby Lobby, fully stocked, tons of employees, and I'm like, Joanne, come out, look at this. Like, you know? Yeah. So Janet says she remembers the guy from Walmart coming in You worked for House of Fabric slash Sofro. We had a Sofro when I was growing up, until they sold to Joanne. Manager was cut to part time. Yeah, yep, yep.
Jan says the Joanne Reddit is addicting. So many stories about how poorly the staff is treated by management.
Oh my
I
god.
will
Yeah.
say, having worked there, now I worked there 22 years ago. Um, and I did my at the time, my store manager I loved. I got along with her fantastic. But I can tell you, back then they were doing some illegal stuff because I was 16 and they had me working an overnight shift. Now at the time,
There is no
I
state
didn't
that's legal.
at the time I didn't care. Um, and also I had dropped out of school at that point, so I wasn't, going to school in the morning. Um, and I
Actually,
didn't
I take that
complain.
back. That might be legal in the summer. That might be legal in summer months in some places.
I don't know. For Kohl's, the only other thing I can compare to really is Kohl's, and that's you have to be 18.
Hmm.
It might be different now post COVID, and they've changed child labor laws, but you had to be 18 most of the time because there wouldn't be a salaried manager on site.
Hmm.
So, but anywho, yeah, I was working the overnight shift. It was fine for me. I didn't complain. I was asked to do it. I wanted to do it. But I didn't know my rights back then. But yeah, now I'm like, well, that was super illegal.
Yeah.
Um, but my manager was great and wonderful. It was actually another manager that actually sabotaged my job. Yep. Anywho, um, she later got sacked for cooking the books.
Oh my goodness.
But I can say even back then, it was still a problem of like not enough staffing.
Hmm. Well, I can tell you why my manager, when I was there, why she got sacked, because so they had cut staffing so much, and the only people who could do um the money drop to the bank were key
The
holders.
salaried managers.
Yeah, key holders. Well, the times at which she could do the bank drop has to be during, like, well, I mean, it doesn't have to be during bank hours, but, you know, it's one of those things where, like, you have to be able to leave the store in someone's hands who's a key holder while you, the key holder, go to the bank. And she never could get the
That I knew
schedules
that
to
to
line
line
up
up.
because
Yeah.
they wouldn't let her. So she got in trouble for having too much money in the safe.
She got fired over that.
Yes. And she was at the point where she was like middle fingers up to Joanne anyway, no matter what. But I just am like, and having worked in retail, other retailers for so long, and also then on the training end of it, I've done freelance stuff for retailers, like big box retailers and stuff. And I'm just like, all of the complaints about Target right now are that they don't have, you go into a Target and it's like the self checkouts are open and that's it. And then like maybe one checkout with an actual cashier. And it's because I remember I worked at Target. I was an executive, so like a store level management. I was in human resources, and they had this initiative called Expense Rate 98. And so this is 1998, and their big thing was like do more with less, basically. And I was like, okay, so expense rate 99, does that mean we more productivity, less payroll? There comes a point where you have nobody working. Therefore, you cannot cut any further and you will not make profit. And guess what's
Hmm.
happening with Target right now? You read the news. Target did not book their earnings this quarter as they should have for the last quarter. Most Targets do very well,
Yeah.
and but it's that last quarter when they like skyrocket their profits. They didn't profit this year. They did not have that skyrocketing profit, and I'm like, gee, I wonder why. Because since 1998, you have been expecting more and taking away.
I mean, all the I mean, Kohl's has been doing that too.
Yeah, they're all like this, and it's like, I mean, I get it. In a lot of ways, it's hard to run a brick and mortar because of online stuff. You can buy things online, but I think that the pivot needs to happen, And I think a lot of these places just, they don't have that pivot.
Some of the pivot
So,
that Colt did was after, um, with COVID, what they did was they shut down their warehouses that would do shipping, and they just moved the shipping operation into the stores.
mm-hmm,
So they shut something down that in order to save the store instead,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to the the big warehouses that are doing nothing but shipping.
Yeah. I mean, retail is just a, it's always been thankless and complicated,
Hmm.
and it's just gotten even more so. Yes, Janet, I too deeply respect wait staff and retail because, yes, I too have been there. And I feel like that, this is how I judge other people. I can be very judgmental, but I always give people the benefit of the doubt until they see how they treat retail workers or wait staff. And if you treat either of those people like badly or disrespectfully, you've told me everything I need to know about you, which is you are entitled and you have never done this type of work. I think everybody, I think everybody in their lifetime should have to volunteer. And in Maryland, I don't know if they do this nationally in the U.S., but I do know in Maryland to get a high school graduation, to get your high school diploma, you do have to put in a certain number of hours volunteer work.
They did that when Chris and I were in high school. I don't know if they still do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you had to have so many hours of
Yeah, and
community service.
most of the kids get away with some BS project. I know my son did, but
My
nonetheless.
brother, I didn't get to that point in high school
Mm-hmm.
to get to that, but my brother, his was working as a page at the library.
Yeah, I mean there are definitely there low stakes volunteering, but nonetheless, I think that everybody should volunteer at some point in their lives. And I know some people like maybe simply don't have the financial ability to do that, like to take time off and volunteer, but I feel like when you're young, it's something that everybody should be made to do. The second one is you should be made to have a part-time job for, I don't know, 6 months. I think 6 months. I think that's far less than the what Israeli army requires. And you should have to either do food service or retail.
Oh no, you should have to do both.
No, well, no,
Like
see,
a year in both because they're very different beasts.
I have not worked directly in food service, but I worked in hospitality. So,
My
there's a lot of crossover there.
my first job ever was as a waitress in a diner at 16. Mm.
Yes.
Let me just say, there were a group of construction workers that were this diner doesn't exist anymore. It used to be in downtown Natick. And there were construction workers coming in every day because they were working on something downtown. I would not wait on them because they were yucky.
Oh no.
Yeah, they would be.
Mardim. I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. Also yucky. But Mardim said, I made my sons volunteer as bathroom cleaners at church and at a Celtic festival. Celts, alcohol, and bathrooms are a bad mix. Indeed.
I
that
can't
might
think of too many places where it would be nice to be a bathroom attendant.
So that is a character building activity that honestly borders on child abuse. I'm kidding. I'm so kidding. Everybody needs to have a job like that. Yes, I totally agree. I think teenagers, you can put their butts in line real fast when they have to work a crap job. And I think that people really need to understand humility. Volunteering gives you humility. And it's just, yes, mandatory service of some kind. It is. And, I think that unfortunately, I feel like maybe when I was growing up, a lot of the kids that I was friends with who never had to have a job like that, it's because their parents, didn't make them, or their parents just gave them an allowance, gave them money. I mean, I didn't necessarily have that luxury, and so I was, as soon as I could work, I worked to be able to have my own spending money. But I feel like, and I'll give you a perfect example. I have a good friend who been down on their luck and lost their job, had been, in IT for like 25 years. At this point was at a pretty high level and lost their job and is still kind of down on their luck and took a job in retail in a big box store that is very, very, like, it's $1 billion store. And you
A
don't,
$1 billion store?
billion with a B. Yes. Yes.
I can't even picture what kind of foot traffic you'd need for that.
It's not Walmart and it's not Target.
I mean, I've heard this story, right? I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I
sure I
think
know who
so.
this is. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a member. This is a club model big box. Um,
But
in
still,
any
the foot
event,
traffic you would need, oh my God.
oh, apparently it's nuts. From what the some of the a few of the like minor little stories I got, it is nuts. But I said, when they were they had interviewed and they had a start date and everything, and I said, have you ever worked in retail, like big box retail? Because I know in high school this friend did work in retail, but it was like a small little,
Yeah,
like,
small box is much
well,
different.
no, I mean it was like literally, yes, Mama, you figured it out. Yes, it's Costco. They had worked in like a small, I don't know, it might have even been family owned, like little store. And it is totally different. And it's great. I think you still do like working with the public in any format, even if it's just like a little small boutique type store where you still have the public coming in and you still, you deal with stuff, and it's better than nothing, but to really experience it. And so my friend told me, like, no, I haven't. And I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, first of all right, you entitled turd, you've never had to do this. And because the very beginning of my professional career was in retail, I've done, and I worked in retail all through high school, and I've taken retail jobs, even though, I've moved on to another profession, I've taken retail jobs just to make ends meet. And so let me tell you, it was a rude awakening for this person. The whining and moaning I heard, I was like, oh, honey. Now, at 50 years old, it's real hard to be the cart getter at an insanely wild Costco. But I've been the cart getter at an insanely wild Target and an insanely wild Walmart. And yes, it'll kick your butt, but it sucks to be doing it as a 50-year-old for the very first time. Yes, Costco's like the boot camp of retail. If you could survive that, you could survive anywhere. Yes, I agree with you. My husband's cousin is a store manager for a Costco in California, and although we have Costco here on the East Coast, I almost feel like the West Coast Costco's are just like
Yeah,
off the
we definitely
wall.
don't. Well, we definitely don't have, I feel like, as many of them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's one or two in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't have them. They're all over the place. I feel like in California and on the West
Yeah,
Coast,
we have more BJ's, and
yeah.
we used to have a few Sam's
Mm-hmm.
Clubs, but we don't
Yeah.
really have those anymore either.
The Sam's Club right by us closed down, and that one was crazy. That was one of those situations where the employees showed up for work one day and the sign on the door said, "Go home, we're closed." I was like, Walmart, what are you doing? I mean, what the hell?
That that is so awful
I know.
to
And
do to people.
sometimes I really think about it and I'm thinking, okay, that was not a corporate Walmart situation. That was a very, very bad local management situation where they didn't do things above board, I'm pretty sure. Because, like I said, I worked for Walmart. Now I know Sam's Club is a separate entity within the Walmart, you know. Um, and yeah, I don't know. That was a local thing, but yeah, like picking strawberries here in California. Yeah. So, my friend is not in California, but is in that northern West Coast area. So it's the same. It's the same situation there.
It's funny. The last stitching day we did, we talked all day about food. And this one, we've spent a large portion of the stream complaining about retailers.
Mm-hmm. Tis the season, though. I mean, honestly.
Yes, it is. Tis the season to complain. Well, it's funny. It's like, we're talking about how, like, well, now that I don't work retail anymore, I can hopefully enjoy the holiday. But there is always going to be that part of you that is traumatized,
Yes, yes.
and
Well, the thing is, like, I I would rather gouge my own eyes out than walk into, say, a Walmart or a Target like on Christmas Eve or like the week of Christmas. My husband and I had to make a pit stop at a Wegmans on the way to my father-in-law's house, and we were like holding our breath because we were like, if there's any kind of line, oh my goodness, what's happening? I think that was probably something related to my Twitch. I don't know if you could hear that.
I didn't hear
whoever
anything.
whoever followed or whatever, thank you, I appreciate you. I don't have my Twitch screen up, so, but I recognize that sound as somebody following, so.
Oh, I didn't hear. I didn't hear anything. I was gonna be
Yeah.
like, what did you break now?
Okay, so it wasn't a follow. Mama did something with bits.
Oh.
Thank you very much. I know that sound. But yeah, what were we saying? I interrupted you.
You jerk. I don't know. That we're traumatized with retail. Oh, you're
Um,
talking about going into Wegmans.
oh yeah, so we had to run into Wegmans, and I remember just thinking to myself, like, we're gonna regret this. It ended up not being too bad. It was totally okay. It was not as busy as we thought it would be. And my husband like knows the quick, easy way out of the parking lot and all that, so it ended up being okay. But yeah, being in retail traumatized me like so much that I just, yeah, I mean, there were years after I left, Target was my last like full-time retail job, where I didn't go into Target at all the month of December because it was just too crazy. It just, ugh. So,
I almost never go into Kohl's anymore. I'm surprised they haven't like sent me a letter being like, you don't use your Kohl's charge like at all anymore. Are you alive?
we miss you. Come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mostly probably do my Kohl's shopping online if I, yeah, I haven't bought anything from Kohl's in a long time, but like my son gets his work clothes from there, you know.
Well, that and it's hard for me. I mean, I still get a lot of charge discounts because I'm a charge customer, but it's really hard for me now to like pay for things there because I used to get to stack all my employee discounts on top of the charge discounts on top of the sales, and like they would be paying me to take the shit out of the store. And like I'll give you a little story. I was um one point I was buying a bunch of stuff
Did you get
and the
Kohl's? You could
cart,
add Kohl's cash in there too.
all of it. I could stack anything and everything. Um and I was buying some stuff online. I had a really big cart. Before any discounts went in, the cart, with the sales and stuff, was at $3,000. Once I put in all of my employee discount and like charge discounts, and I'm sure there was some kind of deal because there are these deals throughout the year where employees get double their discount, like Christmas. It came down to 1,000 with all the stuff that I was. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I'm pretty sure like because it always tells you like what the full price of everything would have been. I think the full price was at like something like 4,500 or something like that.
Wow.
Yep. It was ridiculous. Bye, Mama. Thanks for hanging out.
Oh, bye, Mom. I'm so glad you came by. Oh, same to you, and we'll return the favor. We'll drop by next time you're online. And I don't know
But
if,
I was gonna say, Mama is reminding me that it is 5 already.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think that yeah, I probably have to go deal with dinner. Janet says she stays in her PJs on Black Friday because you are a good person, Janet. People that go shopping on
Yeah,
Black
I
Friday
sleep.
need to have their brains examined.
Well, that and considering that Black Friday is nothing like it used to be, the deals are not really deals anymore. They start those deals even before Black Friday now. Like, it was weird after COVID, and I worked my first Black Friday after that at like 5 a.m. when we opened. It was crickets. It
Oh.
was so weird and creepy. We used to have a line out the door.
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
was
I
so
mean, I can
bored.
say I working at Walmart when I was in college, like back in the day, and my very first Black Friday I was like, what is happening? Because people just, I mean, that was the years of like the doorbusters, where people would come in for like a $10 microwave and like just beat each other up. I worked in one of those stores. It was insane.
Well, when we would have a line outside, I would always be like, "Why? We sell clothes. Like, what do you need here?"
I know.
But for Black Friday, we might get in something like 5 PlayStations
Mm-hmm.
or a handful of TVs or something that we don't normally sell.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, otherwise, God, before we had the Sephoras, I would just be like, "Yeah, we're home goods and clothing. Get a life. What do you need?"
Yeah, I
Like,
know that. Oh yeah, those. Well, when I worked for Target, anytime the new gaming systems, if any of that stuff was coming out, like or any kind of high dollar, extremely popular thing, if it was coinciding with Christmas, yeah, we had to lecture the employees like, don't you even think about hiding one for yourself. We will fire you so fast you won't know what happened. And I had to fire people for it. They'd unload the truck and hide a PlayStation. Like,
mhm.
sorry, you're out of here. Um, so yeah. So Robin taught sewing and quilting classes at Joanne, but had to quit due to the pandemic. Yeah. And I heard about that, how they restructured how they were paying teachers, and I think the instructors were just like, "What are you doing? You're like totally screwing us over," and like nobody wanted to teach anymore. Cake is savage, indeed. I am. You know, so when I was in human resources, I once said, one of the things I hate the most about being in human resources is having to let people go, because it's especially around like as you get close to holidays, or like, I mean, God forbid you got to fire somebody on Mother's Day, like, ugh. Yeah, I try not to do those things. But I said, if I ever get to the point where firing people brings me joy, I know it's time to quit. And I have to tell you, there are a couple times when I fired people where I was like, wow.
Yeah, I was gonna say like there are definitely scenarios where like there was this one person, the boss that I had before I left Kohl's, there were a lot of people that didn't like her. I personally got along with her pretty well. Um And there was this woman that worked there like as long as I did, off and on. She was always a problem. She never did anything she was supposed to do. She would just walk out during her shift and this and that. Well, one manager a million years ago fired her incorrectly. She fired her by just continuously cutting her schedule,
Oh, yeah.
and the woman called and fought it, and she won.
Yeah.
So
Termination
because
by
of that,
attrition.
she kind of became like an untouchable. So for many, many years, these managers would try to fire this woman. And I'm telling you, like, she was just such a problem always. And they would give up because it would, it would be too much work for them to try to, finally be able to fire her. Well, this one boss that I believe she's still the manager there, that people weren't liking, she stuck it out with HR and finally documented enough
To
that she
fire.
got to fire this woman. And she literally got to fire her to her face and be like, "You're done, goodbye." And I remember when I was the administrative assistant at the time, and when she finally got the okay to part ways, she was in her office, the door was closed because she was on the phone with HR, and my desk was on the other side outside of her office. But I heard her in there go, "What?" And like I'm like outside her door because I knew who she was talking to and like why, and like she bursts through the door and like gives me a big hug. And so I said to her, I had always said to her, I'm like, you know what, no matter what anyone says about things they don't like about you, you will go down in history among the quote dinosaurs, and those are the people that have been around a long time.
Uh-huh.
But you'll go down in history as finally the person that stuck it out to get rid of that terrible employee. And she was awful. Oh my God.
Yeah, I had some pretty awful employees, and for the most part, though, in our case, um, we would either piss them off so much they'd leave, or they would just find another job. I can only think of like maybe one or two situations where we had kind of a scary situation where somebody was going to be like, we couldn't touch them. Um, because at least when I was in human resources, I was well trained and I knew how to. And managers were not allowed to fire people without me there. so that they did it right, you know. And I never like to fire people because, especially in like big box retail, I mean, you're dealing with like single moms who it's like their second job and they're trying to make ends meet, or they've lost their job and it's their only income. And, I just always felt so bad for people. Um, but yeah, it is what it
I
is.
have to tell you, most of the people that I ever saw get fired, and I mean over 17 years, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, I I think there's only like two or three people that got fired like for not real reasons, for things they didn't deserve. Most people that I know that have been fired, they 100% deserved it.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but
Robin has the intel on Joanne's
yeah,
crappy.
it's some pretty crappy intel.
Yeah, so instead of paying a percentage of each student fee, which is what happens when you typically, if you're not teaching, out there on your own as yourself, you do usually get a percentage of the student fees, like if you teach for a shop or something. So they changed it to $35 a class. Just like will you sew this for me? I'll give you $50. Yeah. Will you teach this
Seriously,
class
like
for me? Here's
$35 a
75.
class. How much was the class? Like I feel
Yeah.
like $35 could be what the class fee is.
Yeah. And so, and this is the worst part of it, decided they would no longer use retirees and outside staff. All teachers had to be regular employees who are making minimum wage and had to teach during their shift. So you're making minimum wage, you're getting a $35 extra. Woo woo. Oh gosh, Mardart, it's so good to see you. I'll catch you later. Happy New Year. But yeah, I mean, again, and that goes back to we're talking about decisions made by people who are not, um, textile and crafts people. They don't understand what it means. They're just like, whatever.
Robin said classes ran from 35 to $150.
I
If
believe it.
a class fee is $150 and you're paying me 35, like that's just highway
Yeah.
robbery.
And I would be super curious about, all of that. Like,
I will
what
say,
what do
like,
the
I
numbers look like?
never my local Joann's, the little poopy one, which is funny. I thought it was the smallest Joann's I'd ever seen, but actually the Joann's that's closer to this house is like a closet.
Yeah, our Joannes
It
are
is so
stuffed into
tiny.
weird shaped
It's
spaces and
in the
stuff.
corner of a strip mall,
Yeah.
and it's bizarre and like a closet. But anyways, I have never had a Joann's near me that was big enough to ever even have classes.
Yeah, none
But
of
like,
mine
yeah,
none of mine did
Robin,
too.
that is like I almost feel like you would do better to just like run a class out of the church, the basement of a church or
Mhm.
something, and charge and use their tables and whatnot.
Yeah.
We had a maximum of 10 students per class. The most I ever taught was 5.
And were the $150 ones, was those like a series of classes, or was that like some kind of big expensive thing that could be taught? I don't know. I feel like all the ones that I ever saw at the Joanne ETC, which is kind of far from me, they were all things like they did like cake decorating and I think they did a basic beginning sewing and a basic beginning quilting. But I never paid like a whole lot of attention to like what they were, what the classes were exactly. And I feel like they made a move like away from, again, it was like, and I hate, it was more like, like what's the right word for this? Like the shitty crafts, like
What?
trendy crafts, things that are not like it's, getting a quilt. Okay, so a series of classes. Learning how to sew or learning how to quilt, I think those are, well, like learning how to sew, it's a life skill. I
Mhm.
firmly believe everybody needs to learn that. Learn how to sew while you're volunteering and working your crappy retail job. It's like, these are the things that every human being should learn. Um, I don't know. I see those as like really solid, things that are well worth the money. $150 to learn some, basic.
The investment.
Yes, it's an investment. But if you're going to learn how to make like, I don't know, the kind of crafts that like you give it to somebody as a gift and they're like, "Oh, thank you." And they put it out one year and then you never see it again because it's basically trash. Like those
God.
kind of crafts. The sort of dollar store crafts. Those TikTok channels, that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that they would teach at my Joanne ETC. And it's like, that's cute and everything. But first of all, you could watch a YouTube video of it, a 5-minute YouTube video of it. And it's kind of a waste of your money. It's not a super good class. So I don't know. And that's that trendy stuff that they see as like, oh, we can get 50 people that want to take a $35 class versus 10 people that want to take a $150 class. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of dollars and cents that these robber barons of Wall Street are looking at. So yeah. So 1 day a week for 1.5 hours. Okay, 4 to 6 weeks in duration. Yeah, and I feel like I wonder, Joanne. My guess is yes, crafts for kids. Yes. How many people? Well, unless they did not have a local store, a local quilt shop. I probably would not necessarily choose Joanne for like a 4 to 6 week duration.
No.
Unless it was my only choice. I would go to the local quilt store more because I feel like those people would be like way more focused on quilting. So, but I would like to have taken a quilt class from you, Robin. I think that is unfortunate.
Ditto.
They did what they did because you were providing a good service in your area, and we just don't have that in my area at all. So. And I will circle back and say, please, nobody take offense if I craft on your favorite type of craft. I think that making things with your hands, no matter what it is a good thing. Yeah. Even if it's just cutting and pasting construction paper, it's a good thing. So. Well.
Yeah, I'm fading away.
I think that I'm going to have to go cook dinner and then maybe
watch the rest of Lisa Frank.
Well, definitely I'm watching the rest of the Lisa Frank documentary, but maybe my late night will be reading the Joanne Reddit because I did not know there was one. I should have known there was one.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't there like a Reddit for like everything?
There's a Reddit for everything. If you're not a Reddit person, I don't recommend going there because you will fall down a hole and you'll never
Oh yeah,
out.
it's not good for your mental health.
Well, but the thing is, I tend to look at the Reddits that are positive things for the most part, like funny stuff or Bone Apple Tea is probably one of my favorite, where people misspell things. My husband and I always like the "What is this thing" Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, some of the snarky Reddits are good, but is definitely an evil hole that you'd have to fall down. So. Aw, that's sweet, Robin. Some cushions for his boat. I love that. That's sweet. And I love that. People that are, willing to, like, get their hands dirty. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I will be back on Twitch on Monday, and you and I will be back on Tuesday.
We will be having our anniversary show.
Cake needs to finish a video.
Yep, it'll be the end of the year. Last hurrah at 7 p.m. So you still have time after to do, New Year's Eve things. I will not be doing those things. But if you want to do those things, you'll have time. Don't worry.
Rob and I are going to go out for dinner on Monday for our anniversary. So.
Okay, for a second, I thought you said Robin, and I was like, is she flying to Maryland?
Rob and I. Yes, Rob and I, my husband. So.
Well, that'll be fun. You'll have to tell us all about it.
Yeah, it's we're not going to Fogo de Chao or anything. We're just gonna, get some crab cakes or something like that. So.
I was gonna say, please don't tell me that you're going to like Chick-fil-A.
No. Well, we're gonna go someplace more expensive than that. All right, guys, it has been wonderful, and we'll see you this coming week.
Yeah.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.